Alright, we should be live. Sorry it's been so long. Gonna be submitting to Reddit, so give me just a second, and then I'll get into the match yesterday. Alright, welcome back. Sorry it's been ages. My apologies there. I know I've missed the previous two playdays, and if people want me to, I can put those up on my channels, but you'll have to message me about that. But the main reason I missed those two playdays, Sunday, Blues were in the Stanley Cup Finals. I know most of you probably don't care about real sports, but as a St. Louis native, that was a big deal for me. I was busy out on Sunday. And then the other Sunday was Father's Day, so couldn't duck my responsibilities for a hobby then. But anyhow, I am back here today with the final matches of round 13. This is the second half. To catch you guys up to speed on the two playdays that I missed, we had in round 12, June 9th, these are the first matches after Milan, which is why there's been such an abnormally long break as well. Is that there just weren't a lot of there weren't matches going on during the Milan break and time after that for Pro League. But regardless, June 9th, INTZ faced Black Dragons. Black Dragons won 2-0 on, and Red Devils faced Immortals, where they both took a map each, both with 7-4 scorelines on both of those maps. Then in round 13, we had FaZe versus Pain Gaming, which FaZe took 2-0, and Black Dragons versus Ninjas in Pajamas, which once again was a trade of maps, with Nip taking Villa 7-3 and Black Dragons taking Consulate 7-1. So, to get the standings at you and then what they mean afterwards, we have currently Team Liquid in first place with 25 points. Now, they have an opportunity here to go up even more over their counterparts of FaZe, who are in second place with 24 points. Ninjas in Pajamas are in third, tied with Black Dragons, who are currently listed in fourth, but I don't know if Liquipedia does any tie-breaking adaptations, because both teams have 17 points. Then INTZ is at 14, Immortals is at 11, Pain Gaming is at 7th, is at 7 points, and in 8th place, Red Devils, in danger of being relegated to Series B at 4 points. Now, to remind you all of the format of BR6, it is top 4 after the regular season will go to the playoffs, which are structured at King of the Hill style. That means 3rd and 4th place play each other in a best of 3. Then the winner of that will play the 2nd place team in a best of 3. And the winner of that will face the 1st place team in a best of 5 grand finals. So your seeding out of these playoffs matters, and that's where today is going to get interesting. This first match doesn't have playoff implications to an extreme amount, although Liquid has the opportunity here to put themselves out of FaZe's reach if they can get all 3 points, because then the maximum FaZe could get would be 27 and Liquid be at 28 and guarantee themselves first place. Red Devils, on the other hand, is at 4 points compared to Pain Gaming 7. If they want to get out of the auto-relegation position, they will have to take on 3 points here and win some points at the next playday, or hope that they have the tiebreak over Pain Gaming, and I'm not entirely certain who has that particular tiebreak. So either way, this match is going to be important for Red Devils to try and escape auto-relegation, and Liquid to secure their place in first place. Of course, even if they didn't get any points from this matchup, assuming Red Devils gets all 3 points, they'll still have first place to FaZe Clan, and it becomes a matter of who wins on the final playdays to see which teams are going to be seeded where in the top 2. Both of these teams are completely safe from being knocked out of playlists, and in fact, they're completely safe from being dropped out of the 2nd seed position. What gets interesting are these teams in the 3rd through 6th place positions currently, as we have the possibility of all 4 of these teams tying at 17 points on the last play day, in which case I am not entirely sure how BR6 handles those tie breaks. I did do some head-to-head looks, and assuming Immortals gets the full 17 points, they have the head-to-head tiebreak, I believe, over Black Dragons, but are directly tied with Ninjas in Pajamas. INTZ is the opposite. They are directly tied with Black Dragons, but have the head-to-head over Ninjas in Pajamas, I believe. Or no, sorry, they are directly tied with Ninjas in Pajamas, but have the head-to-head over Black Dragons, and Immortals are the ones directly tied with Black Dragons, but have the head-to-head over Ninjas in Pajamas. So, either way, it's going to get messy, to say the least, assuming a good number of these teams get 17 points. Now, bear in mind that if INTZ loses today to Immortals, then Ninjas in Pajamas or Black Dragons, both of these teams, they will not be facing each other, any of these teams, on the final play day. So this competition will be them determining their fate against other teams. But both Ninjas in Pajamas and Black Dragons, if either one of them walks away with a single point on the final play day, they will be out of reach of INTZ and Immortals, assuming Immortals wins today and INTZ loses. Should INTZ win today, then it won't entirely be the case. They could all get the same number of points because they will be tied at 17 at the end of the day. But I'll get more into that, the numbers, and how that's going to kind of break down when we get to the second half of matches. Because right now we do have Liquid versus Red Devils as our primary focus. And like I said, this won't have an implication on who makes it to playoffs, because Red Devils are firmly out of that possible position, sitting at 4 points. But it will determine for Team Liquid whether or not they can clinch their first seed position. They need a minimum of the full 3 points to do so today. Should they walk away with 2 points, then FaZe could tie them in terms of total points if they get the full 3. And I'm not entirely certain what the tiebreak is between Liquid and FaZe right now, but I want to say it's in FaZe's favor, which would mean that they would get the first seed position. Should Liquid only get 1 point here, then FaZe can take it outright. And Liquid doesn't exactly have an easy match next week. They're going to be up against Ninjas in Pajamas, and while they have recent times been defeating Ninjas in Pajamas, especially that final Play-Doh Pro League, it's always going to be a tough competition, especially with a team like Ninjas in Pajamas, who seem to be very streaky. They will look very strong one play day and then fall flat like they did against Liquid in the final day of Season 9 on Villa, which denied NIP the chance to go to Milan. Reminder that had NIP won that match, they would have gone to Milan. So Liquid is definitely not going to be underestimating their opponents in Ninjas in Pajamas for round 14. So Cafe is in the pool now for BR6, which would indicate that Mozzie and Gridlock are available too. I'm not too familiar with BR6's regulation in terms of when seasonal changes and the like come in, so this was just as surprising to me as I'm sure it is to some of you guys, because I don't think many of us follow BR6. But without further ado, we're going to be getting into Consulate now. So all the number crunching and everything that I went over, we'll get into the more interesting stuff with Immortals versus INTZ when we get there. But for now, we're going to be getting into the ban phase with the Red Devils starting off on attack. So Team Liquid is going to be taking out Jackal. This is going to allow them to move about much more freely on Consulate, as Consulate is a map where you'd like your roamers to have that freedom to just traverse the floors and try and retake on different floors if they get pushed out, or hold on to the floors that you find are the most important depending on where you're defending. The Red Devils with a Thermite Band is very directly targeted at making that garage take harder for the attack. We've seen Red Devils pull out the same approach in Pro League, where I do not believe it worked out in their favor. I believe they lost that game pretty handedly. And the next ban is going to be Echo, so nothing too surprising there. So we're finally going to be getting to Liquid's final ban, which is going to be a Mira. So nothing really surprising on the defensive side of things or the attack for Consulate. Jackal is a bit of a off-meta ban for Consulate. as far as pro level play, but nothing too crazy, especially considering that Consulate is again a map where you like your roamers having the ability to traverse the map. Liquid is going to be going up to the top floor first. It tends to be a toss-up between teams whether they prefer to go to the top floor or the garage defenses first, with more teams favoring the top floor. But of course, that Thermite ban could have incentivized Liquid to go down below, but they will not. They will tease out the Bandit and 6-pick off of it to try and make Red Devils think they're going to be down below. But other than that, nothing too crazy on either lineup. We are going to be seeing the Nomad run by Red Devils to try and lock down that roam play that I was talking about earlier, as they will no longer have the Jackal to straight up hunt them. And since Consulate is a map with the 3 staircases to go up top and a lot of narrow corridors, Nomad can have a lot of effect just cutting off rotations for the defenders. What is odd, though, is Red Devils electing to not run a Capitao on this attack. The top floor on Consulate is one of Capitao's strongest sites to attack. Capitao is, of course, in a very powerful position since his relatively recent rework, although not that recent now. But either way, the top floor console is perhaps his strongest attack to approach. Especially that middle connector room between the 2 bomb sites, Capitao can burn out any defender playing in that position. So Red Devils electing to run a lot of soft breach utility in the form of the Ashe and Zofia instead of having a Capitao could make things more difficult. Paula going for that aggressive spawn peek from the admin side, but he will be red and forced to retreat back. But it looks like we're going to have PSK and Paula both set up on admin trying to hold it. It's been about 50-50 lately about whether or not teams like to hold admin. For a while, it completely fell out of the meta because of how easy it is to dislodge a player from admin, and it looks like Paula and PSK are actually going to back out completely, as Midi will now have full control of admin on the Ashe, with Zion on Printer Repel to help out his teammate. So aggressive map control being taken from the east side by Red Devils, but Midi's going to lose the first gunfight to Paula, and all that map control is lost just like that. Sexy Cake playing aggressively inside a projector to try and deny this admin push, as it looks Red Devils is very one-dimensional. And Paula and PSK are going to pick up 2 kills, and PSK going to pick up a 3rd. And all of a sudden, it's just a Brow left in a 1v5. This admin take not working out at all, as PSK will get the final kill, and Team Liquid will take the first round. Good showing from PSK and Paula to get all the kills between themselves and just deny Red Devils' ability to take in from admin. They weren't even bringing a lot of utility to try and clear out admin. No frag grenades or anything of the like on their side meant they had to rely on pure gun skill to clear out admin, which is doable for an attacker. But as we saw there, when you're going up against a team like Team Liquid, you don't want to rely on pure gun skill, and it did not work for Red Devils. They are making the call to swap the Thatcher over to a Maverick, likely expecting to be going for Garage now and wanting to poke some holes into the garage doors. Of course, the Thatcher means that the mute of Sexy Cake is going to be able to stall things out for a little bit longer than he should on this garage hold. Of course, Maverick or the Zofia, likely up above from Piano, can easily clear out those mute jammers, but not without more risk taken than just throwing a Thatcher EMP at the wall. Also, losing that Thatcher means that Maestro's Evil Eyes are going to be a lot harder to remove, and any ADSs set up are likely going to stick around until they have been burned by flash grenades. Of course, we also have the potential of goo mines, but that's likely not where the Thatcher's utility was going to be used. So, once again, Red Devils not exactly bringing a ton of utility for a consulate attack that you would expect. In this case, dropping the Thatcher for the bottom floor attack, like they dropped the Capitao for the top floor attack. And we'll see if this unconventional approach works out more in their favor this time around. There is a lot of potency in the fragging power of the operators that they have. A lot of these operators are 3 speeds with great guns. But at the same time, there's not a lot of utility available for them. And Paula's going to be denying this Visa take and take the head of Midi. And once again, the entry frag has been taken down. Nesk was there for the refrag, so it was unlikely for Midi to get more than one kill, and he won't even get his one, as Paula has now retreated up to the top floor, with Nesk coming up Spiral. Good crossfire being set up by these two defenders from Liquid to deny any intake from lobby or Spiral stairs. Red Devils, once again with their entry fragger taken off of the board instantly, is going to have to adapt and come up with something new. We see the Maverick working away on the garage wall, likely to give his team some better angles into garage, but without the thermite, it's going to be hard to actually push in when the time comes for a plant, and Liquid is unlikely to give away free picks to the Maverick's holes. Sexy Cake still has full control of piano as well, so no verticality coming out from Red Devils, but it looks like Zion is on the hunt. Paula will pick up another kill of the round onto Rovita, and that is the Nomad off the table once again, and I do not know how many air jabs she got set up, but she will not get any more, as Sexy Cake is on yellow stairs, and Liquid has just fortified the top two floors on their basement hold. Crips will get a kill for Red Devils finally, the first for Red Devils onto Nesk, and that's going to be the Jaeger taken down, but only a minute left. And Sexy Cake going for an aggressive run up from Yellow Stairs will actually give Red Devils a fighting chance, as he is unable to connect with the Maverick. PSK taking up position behind White Van, and Moringa still on the table with the Maestro playing from pipes. Means that when the inevitable funnel from garage happens, Liquid has plenty of utility available to deny the push. Abrao has opened up all of the garage panels that he wanted to, but again, without that thermite on the board, it is going to be a funnel through the much smaller Hibana holes, and Pala still on the roam on the first floor could prove disastrous for the player on yellow stairs. But Paula will pick up the kill on Zion. Moringa will down one. Paula will get the confirm, and Cypress will frag him, but Moringa there for the trade. Means Team Liquid will take the second round. As Red Devils running low on both utility and time there towards the end, got cut down by the combined forces of Paula and Moringa. Moringa having a real splash on Team Liquid since his arrival on the team at the beginning of Pro League Season 10. Keep in mind the team also got a third place finish at the Vegas Minor with Moringa after Zig's retirement from the scene. So he's been showing up quite well. Moringa previously played on FaZe Clan and then went to Black Dragons for a little while before coming over to Liquid. The first showing of Gridlock, and it's going to be the Ash of Midi swapping onto Gridlock. So that aggressive entry fragging wasn't working out for them to begin with, so they're going to be running a lot more utility now in the form of Gridlock. Speaking of utility, Capitao has been elected to be ran for the first time in this match by Red Devils, and they brought back the Thatcher. So they've realized that the aggressive lineup of operators they had before just wasn't cutting it. That said, Team Liquid are going to be bringing out the unconventional new site for Consulate. New in quotation marks because it has been here for a while, but it doesn't see a lot of play, and that's going to be Archives Tellers. One of the few split sites that we ever see in Pro League, and actually with the removal of Oregon, it might be the only split site currently in Pro League, because the previous one was Tower on Oregon. The Nomad of Rovita going to be looking to have a little bit more impact this round than she had on the previous rounds. Now keep in mind, we are not privy to where these air jabs are being set up, and since I don't have sound, they could have been going off every round, but I doubt that. It looks like they are going to be approaching a lot of these just to deny runouts. But as we saw from Sexy Cake's jump out, it doesn't look like Liquid is heavily investing on that strategy, and when they go for it, it's being shut down anyway. Midi using Gridlock to actually deny this position that Paula would like to play, or at least that's the intent, but Paula's going to shoot out those Gridlock tracks, and he's just going to regain control of this position. So a frag grenade would have worked a lot better. The Capitao, though, is there to land the headshot on Paula. He tries to go 1-1 on Nesk, but Nesk will win out that 1v1. And all of a sudden, Red Devils is going to be down the utility of their Capitao as they had Zion aggressively entering with the Capitao. A questionable decision to be sure, and it looks like they brought the Gridlock purely to dislodge Paula from his position, and it kind of worked. It distracted the Jaeger for certain, but it didn't really do much else. Nesk is going to get gunned down by Middy, so Red Devils will have a man advantage for the first time in this match, as it'll be all up to Moringa, Sexy Cake, and PSK to hold down this admin side take. PSK will spot out the gun barrel of Middy, so he knows the Gridlock is approaching. He'll shoot out the drone and take an aggressive angle, and you'll see the Thatcher trying to push him, and he'll land the headshot onto Middy. That's 2 for PSK, and all of a sudden Liquid will have the man advantage once again. PSK and Paula putting on an impressive display in these first 3 rounds. Sexy Cake will get another onto a brew, and it's all up to Ravinda to land the final shot. He will down the dock and finish off PSK, so he only has to find 2 more, and he has 50 seconds. He has a lot of time to work with, but not a lot of utility left on the side of the Nomad. He has 1 air jab remaining, but other than that, not a whole lot that he can do, as he will have to run into the 2 anchoring forces of Moringa and Sexy Cake. Smoke and a Maestro, especially when you have 30 seconds left on the clock, are about the 2 best operators you could get for this situation. It's going to be a hard fight for Red Devils to try and prevent this from going up 3-0, and Moringa's going to lay into Ravinda, bring about the Nomad down to about half health, making her life even harder, but he will not finish the kill quite yet, and there it is, Moringa getting the final kill of the round. And Team Liquid will go up 3-0 on their defenses, completing a perfect set. If Red Devils wants to escape that auto-relegation position inside of BR6, they're going to have to bring something new to the table, and fast. This kill from Zion, while an excellent headshot onto the Jaeger, ultimately put him at more risk than help, as he was immediately shut down by Nesk. And losing your Capitao is not a position you ever want to find yourself in, but especially not on a map like Consulate, where you can just deny so many locations. Red Devils with the 6 pick from the Gridlock onto the Gridlock, hoping to catch Liquid off guard, but Liquid are going to be the ones actually taking advantage of the 6 pick feature, running the castle for the first time on PSK instead of the dock, hoping to now expand their lobby defense and trip Red Devils up even more. As we saw previously, Liquid had a perfect rotation of the site, so they could have gone back up to the top floor of their primary site. Instead, they're going to be electing to run a fort site. And it's very rare that we actually see a team go to all 4 sites in succession, but it looks like Liquid are going to be trying out this lobby hold, and thus they're going to be running the castle, likely catching Red Devils off guard, who will be anticipating that top floor hold. So we'll see if they can adapt and properly attack this middle floor instead. The Nomad of Ravita, once again, hoping to get a little bit more of an impact than he's had in these previous rounds, as we haven't really seen any air jabs go off to any sort of detriment. And even the threat of the Nomad hasn't really slowed down Liquid's rotate game. They've been moving around the map just as comfortably as they might otherwise. We do have Sexy Cake set up in Projector, a common spot for smokes in general. And it looks like Middy's going to still be entry fragging on the Gridlock, following behind 2 drones. He does know about the position of a player in Projector, and he's going to set up some Gridlocks to lock him in and land a nice headshot onto Nesk playing on that Valkyrie. That's going to be one of the C4s off the table, which can be quite important on this middle floor defense, assuming they've opened up the hatches down below. Middy's still entry fragging in with the Gridlock, but Paula is going to be the next target. He will get his vision smoked off, but still land an excellent shot through the smoke onto the Gridlock, likely having some intel relayed from teammates in the form of Sexy Cake. Speaking of the smoke, he will land a shot with that SMG-11 onto Cypress, and that's a Thatcher off the table. Zion has taken a lot of health himself, and it's going to be Red Devils on the back foot once again. Moringa holding a long angle into Projector. It doesn't seem like Red Devils is aware the Projector has been vacated, And instead, when they walk through these doors, they're going to just get gunned by Paula and Moringa, both having a nice angle. Ravinda will get a kill onto Moringa, but he'll be immediately downed by Paula, leaving a Brow in a 1-on-3 situation. Now, the other members of Team Liquid are very hurt, so this is still winnable for the full health Hibana, but she will have to once again fight her way out of a 1v3 situation. As Paula knows exactly where she is, he's going to take a little bit more damage, bringing him into the one-shot territory as well. Meaning PSK is the only person on Team Liquid who can take more than a bullet's worth of damage. But Abrao doesn't really have any map control, being isolated over to this balcony. And Paula is just going to be able to deny him from this long desk and waste the Hibana's time. She has 30 seconds to make a move. And even if Paula doesn't win this gunfight, he'll have Sexy Cake there for the refrag and the smoke's utility in general still available. Abrao will finally jump into Projector, but PSK will be the one to confirm the kill using, I believe, the holes down below. And Team Liquid will go up 4-0 with a perfect rotation of every defensive site on Consulate. Not a site we see really ever in Pro League. Red Devils are going to have to start really adapting. It looks like they're going to call for a tactical timeout to adjust their approach. Likely the right read. Now, they have been bringing a more utility-focused lineup now compared to their first two attacks, but it hasn't really been working out in their favor. They've been getting more frags strung together, but at the end of the day, their map control hasn't really been there. Every player that aggressively enters in will get immediately traded afterwards by a member of Team Liquid, and that'll completely destroy whatever map control Red Devils had built up. They're going for this admin side clear on just about every single one of these sites, and it hasn't been working out. Liquid has been perfectly reading into that and killing the players before they can really even make it into Projector. Every single time this admin push has come out, the players have been cut down by the point they're going to be getting close to Projector. And that's not a good sight you want to see when you're looking for that eastern side take. Just having control of admin really isn't much for Consulate. So we'll see now that they have to attack the top floor, where admin control is the most impactful compared to all of these sites, if they can do a little bit more than just getting control of admin, or if they're going to get stalled out around Projector once again. Or maybe we'll see an entirely different approach. We do have Zion now on the sledge, so dropping the Capitao for some frag grenades, which is something that Red Devils has really been lacking in, considering they're trying to go for an admin side clear, where frag grenades are your best utility for clearing out any players lurking inside of admin. So that is a good call from Red Devils, and we'll see if it'll work out better. Once again, though, they are going to be dropping the Capitao for that, meaning that areas like Connector, or even just a Consulate window side take, or trying to clear out Bathroom, are all going to be extremely difficult to dislodge defenders from without that Capitao on the board. Paula with 9 kills and leading the charge, and only 4 rounds in. Not a sight that you want to see if you are Red Devils, but I'm sure Liquid is very happy about that. As we now get to see the man himself, PSK, holding on to admin and expecting once again this admin side take. He's going to be playing in around Printer. And it looks like the members of Red Devils are once again aware of his position, because he has been playing the spot every single time as they attempt another admin take. Time after time again, Red Devils has gone for this attack, and let's hope they have it refined at this point, as it's unlikely they want to go down 5-0 in these early attacking rounds. A 4-2 split is still salvageable, especially when you're swapping over to a defense. PSK will fall all the way back to Bathroom, with Sexy Cake still playing inside a Projector. We do see the Doc Apollo anticipating any sort of console Windows take and ready for that run out. And it really doesn't look like Red Devils is doing anything to deal with Paula. They do finally have control of admin that they want, but can they get further down this time around? Once again, they're getting stalled out in about the same position they've been stalled at every single time, with about half the round left to go, and Nesk is not going to make life easier as he'll take down a Brow with a C4. Paula will spot out 2 players by the long desk, and it doesn't look like Red Devil has any pressure from anywhere other than this admin side. Zion will take down Sexy Cake inside a projector, which is a huge pick onto the smoke. So that is looking good for Red Devils in this final minute. But they still have to find 4 other members of Team Liquid, who all have their crosshairs trained on this very one-sided approach from Red Devils. No real pressure coming out anywhere else. Nesk will fall off a spiral, not wanting to contest that angle any longer. But Moringa, still set up inside a connector, could spell disaster with that Alda. Nesk returning up to the spiral stairs, and Paula will see the head of Midi and take him down. Moringa will follow up onto Ravita, Nesk with another onto Zion, and it's all up to Cypress in a 1-on-4. This admin take once again dying before they can even get into projector, and Moringa isn't going to give Cypress a single kill. As that's going to be Liquid going up 5-0 on their defenses of Consulate. Keep in mind, this was Red Devil's map pick. Not a great sign that you want to be seeing if you are Red Devils. And that Thermite ban hasn't really affected Liquid whatsoever. They haven't even been playing Garage. So the very site that you knew you were going to be making riskier isn't even the site that Liquid has been relying on. They've played every other site, and they're likely to finally now go back down to Garage, but that's not a good sign when you're Red Devils, as they likely anticipated an approach to attack this Garage site without a Thermite. And Liquid has just been sidestepping that issue altogether. Now we'll see if the members of Red Devils can finally string together one last round, as they will get to attack that Garage site. That is likely the site they have prepped the most to attack without a Thermite, but they've got a lot to go. Even if they take this final round, they're going to have to go perfect on their defenses if they want to walk away with the win. Bear in mind that if Red Devils doesn't get a single point out of today's 2 maps, they are likely going to be stuck in auto relegation, as I believe the Pain Gaming has the tiebreaker over them. But we'll see now. Red Devils still bringing that sledge now for this basement side attack. He's going to be a lot more effective here than he was on the top floor attacks, as other than the frag grenades for dislodging players inside of either yellow stairs or admin, there's not a whole lot the sledge can do. But Nesk picking up 2 fast kills, anticipating this rush from Red Devils. Zion will get the free frag onto him, but PSK had already followed up onto another player, and Paula will shut down Zion. It's all up to Midi in a 1v4. Paula's there to shut him down, and that's a perfect half from Team Liquid. Red Devils trying to just speed up the pace with an aggressive spiral stairs take that just did not work out at all. Nesk there to shut down the entire push, picking up 2 players as they try to run down spiral stairs, and ultimately causing things to completely spiral out of control, pardon the pun. Liquid now looking very, very good at taking this out and denying Red Devils the opportunity to get a full 3 points from this match, which should have been very important in their attempt to escape auto relegation. We're going to see Mozzie being run for the first time by Red Devils. In combination with that mute, that is going to hamper Team Liquid's droning quite significantly. But they do have Paula around on the IQ to spot out those pests and hopefully take them out before they can stop any drones and capture them. But at the same time, that is still going to slow down Liquid's take quite significantly. but is it going to matter? Right now, Liquid has just shown themselves to be the stronger team quite dominantly. And when you're facing down 0-6, it becomes quite difficult to come back, even for the tie, even when you're on defense. Red Devils have just not been winning gunfights either, and that does not bode well for trying to pull this back. It'd be one thing if they had some kills and a lot of these rounds came down to 1v2s, 1v1s, but it's been a lockout from Team Liquid at this point. I believe the best Red Devils have done is push a match into a 1v2. No, I think that even that one was a 1v3. They have never killed more than 2 members of Team Liquid around. Not a great position to be sitting in if you're Red Devils at all. And Team Liquid are going to be running a lot of utility in contrast to most of the approaches of Red Devils with the IQ, the Thatcher, and the Capitao. And of course, we have Nesk on Sledge to open up that piano floor. So, things are not looking good for Red Devils right now. Paula, pushing in from the Visa side, is going to be trying to pressure them from behind. Brow will get the first kill onto Nesk with the shotgun. And that's going to be a good initial frag, but Paula is going to cut down Rovinda while he tries to rotate back into side. It doesn't look like there's any intel on Paula's information available whatsoever to Red Devils, as he now has the entire eastern part of the basement under his control. He's going to now start pinching in on a player playing by pipes. Does not spot anyone. His gunshots will give away his position, but apparently not to a Brow, as he'll get gunned down. Does anyone know Paula is here, as he'll take down Zion? Cypress will finally respawn with one onto Moringa, but Paula has full control of the back part of sight. Sexy Cake and Cypress will get into a bit of an engagement, and Midi will come out on top, but PSK will gun down Midi. It's now 1v2 for Cypress, the Doc, as Paula has full control of sight, but Diffuser was dropped when Sexy Cake was taken down, and Cypress will land a headshot onto Paula as PSK is going for this plant. If Cypress knows, he could deny the plant, but he does not know. He's going to be checking the positions as Diffuser will go down. It's going to be a 1v1 between these two players, and it's going to be Cypress coming out on top, and Red Devils will get their first round of the game in a very intense 1v1. Paula almost single-handedly gifting Liquid that round on a silver platter. Is this going to be the start, though, for a perfect half from Red Devils to answer the perfect half from Liquid? Or are we going to go down to Cafe with Red Devils limping in? We'll see as we get into the 12th round of the 8th round of the match. And Liquid putting Sexy Cake on a roll. Never mind, I'm a liar, as Sexy Cake will 6-pick to the Hibana, so we will not be seeing that line come out, as I'm sure there are some European teams that are quite happy, as Sexy Cake has proven time and time again to be extremely proficient on that operator. We're going to be seeing once again the Archives Teller site come out from Red Devils. There's a lot of teams are trying to work this into their rotations. We saw Liquid approach it earlier, and they were successful on it. So can we see Red Devils also pull it off? No lineup changes for either one of these teams, as they seem to be very comfortable in the utility that they are bringing. Interesting to note that Red Devils has not been running that Maestro, even though he's been available. Instead, running the Doc as their form of an ACOG, and likely having that bulletproof camera instead of the 2 evil eyes that Maestro gets. Of course, the Doc can take multiple gunfights by being able to heal up himself, and his death isn't going to impact your team's utility whatsoever, but it is a questionable decision by Red Devils to leave an operator as powerful as Maestro off the board, as they've kind of been doing this every round on both their attacks and their defenses, leaving a lot of these powerful operators untouched to go for some more unconventional approaches. And speaking of unconventional, Midi just sitting on the desk like a gargoyle will gun down Moringa, who likely wasn't expecting anyone there. Poor drone work coming out from Liquid, but with the mute and the Mozzie on the table, it's not too surprising, that no one was able to relay that information to Moringa. As Red Devils will find themselves with a man advantage once again. Nesk will prep a frag grenade. Will it connect? Almost. It takes out just about all of Midi's health. And the second one will be the confirm. And that's going to be the Mozzie taken down, as it'll now be a 4v4 with 2 minutes left in the round. Good refrag from Nesk to get that kill and give his team the admin control that they wanted, but it came at the cost of their Capitao, a huge pick for Red Devils. Sacrificing a Mozzie for the Capitao, likely worth it. You will be losing that C4 on the side of Red Devils, but you have 2 more in the form of the Mute and the Valkyrie, and your pests are likely pre-deployed. As it looks like Paula is actually going to be taking out said pests that were set up actually quite interestingly under those admin tables to try and capture drones. Let's see if Team Liquid, though, can adapt now that they have the admin control that they want. They've opened up the hatch thanks to Sexy Cake on the Hibana, so they have the top floor pressure that they wanted. Paula not realizing that that floor isn't destructible, as he will now push over onto the second spot on the floor, but Cypress will gun down Nesk, who was Paula's support, so he can't go quite willy-nilly opening the floor just quite yet. Zion will relay that the IQ is inside a printer, but he's unable to go through his own rotate hole, trapping him in position. He'll have to fall further back, and Sexy Cake all the way up in Visa already, as we'll hear a C4 detonate errantly, but Sexy Cake having full site control alongside PSK, but PSK will be gunned down by Rovinda, prompting Sexy Cake to get off of the plant with 25 seconds left to go. And Rovinda just missing every shot onto the Hibano. Sexy Cake will pick up that refrag, leaving Paula in a 1v2 as Zion guns down Sexy Cake. Paula spots out the dock, and that's Cypress taken down. It's once again a 1v1 between Paula and another member of Red Devils, and Zion will be the one to win it out. Red Devils showing that they still have signs of life in them as they win on the Archives Teller site. Can they complete the perfect rotation and get a third round on defense? As they will now have to go onto their tertiary site, whichever one that might be. Of course, assuming that Archives Teller is their secondary site and not just a pocket strat. And a pocket strat that definitely worked out for Red Devils. They do get to go up to the top floor now, which has been the traditionally favored site by most teams. So we could see Red Devils get these 3 rounds and slowly start to pull this back to a draw and keep themselves in the running for at least 2 points, and also deny Liquid the opportunity to clinch their spot at the top of the playoffs. And instead of going to the top floor, Red Devils is actually once again going to elect for the unconventional, going for a lobby defense. Once we finally see that Maestro coming out from a brow, who is going to be looking to try and take advantage of that utility. They're going to be dropping the mute, relying on Midi's pests to be the bulk of their information denial to Team Liquid. We'll see if that pays off for them more, if they're going to be wishing they still had that mute, as a lot of their picks on Team Liquid seem to come from poor intel available to Team Liquid, likely because of that mute and Mozzie working in conjunction. So dropping the mute and sacrificing a lot of that information denial might hurt Red Devils here in the end, but they are looking revitalized on this defensive set. So we'll see. We do see Liquid setting up for this Eastern take, very similar to how Red Devils was approaching, but it doesn't seem to be entirely focused on admin, as they also want to get control of Visa. One thing Liquid has been doing that Red Devils really didn't, and it's been the reason these attacks, while not successful, have at least brought it down to 1v1s, whereas Red Devils really didn't have that opportunity. But Midi, spotting out a lot of players, but the IQ is there to spot out that drone and take it out. So the Mozzie's intel lost, as Paula has just been very efficient at clearing out all of the utility that's been invested in admin. As both him and Nesk are now going to start working their way in for this admin side clear. Nesk opening up the long angle to projector will force Midi to fall off of the angle. and caused the Mozzie to fall further back into Projector. Ravinda now can't flank up the Visa stairs. He's going to set a C4 and detonate it errantly. No intel available to the Valkyrie to know when to trigger that C4. And that's going to be one of your two C4s gone for Red Devils. Nesk still holding on to this angle from admin, cutting off the rotations of the Valkyrie as Paulo works his way up Projector. Nesk getting the first kill onto said Valkyrie, and Ravinda will go down. Nesk spots out another player, the Mozzie, inside a Projector, and Paulo's going to land the kill onto Zion. That was the Mozzie support gone. It looks like he does still have one player further back. I believe that's the Doc of Cyprus to support him, and Midi's going to actually land the kill onto Nesk, and now Paulo's going to be the one without support as he tries to clear out this top floor. We do have Moringa, though, set up on the balcony to try and pressure Midi playing on Mozzie. So unless Midi can pull off some heroics, which he will with a kill onto Moringa, all of a sudden, Paula has no pressure to help him. Cypress will land another kill onto Sexy Cake, and Liquid is just completely falling off the pace. Paula and PSK, the two players left. PSK will repel into admin to try and give his teammates some support as they desperately try and get this final kill for their top floor control. And Paula will finally land the shot onto Midi, but they only have 20 seconds left as they will now have to go for their site execute. And we have Cypress on this late flank. He'll land the shot onto PSK, leaving Paula in a 1v2 with 9 seconds. Not a whole lot the IQ can do here, and she's going to miss her chance to kill Cypress, lose a lot of health in the process. 2 seconds left, and Team Liquid will find themselves now at 6-3 as Red Devils strings together 3 rounds in a row on defense, completing the set. Red Devils looking revitalized in this second half of the round, and slowly but surely inching themselves to that draw to keep themselves in the running for 2 points. Bear in mind, 2 points will not take them out of the auto relegation position, but it will put them within striking distance as they're currently at 4 points, whereas Pain Gaming, their competition, has 7. We're now going to be going finally up to that top floor defense from Red Devils, looking to repeat Liquid's showing of all 4 sites in their first 4 rounds. Can Red Devils prove as successful, though, is the question. No lineup changes coming from Team Liquid as they are very comfortable with the utility they've had despite the losses. And Red Devils are going to be taking the Maestro down once again to bring back in that mute, and they're also going to be dropping the castle, who isn't as needed for this top floor attack. Instead, they're going to be having the Legion likely trying to stall out Liquid's push and also provide their team some more intel as the IQ of Paula has been taking out a lot of their gadgets and a lot of their players as he's sitting on 18 kills right now. Paula just on one tonight as he has been chewing through the members of Red Devils in this match. Moringa spotting out the potential spawn peek from Red Devils and relaying that information to his team, but it doesn't look like Red Devils wants to challenge the connector window just quite yet. Nesk is going to be working with Paula once again on this admin side take, and Sexy Cake has actually taken a lot of damage, I believe, from an encounter with Midi early on. Hibana at half health in the first 30 seconds. We're likely to see Sexy Cake eventually come up to this admin side clear alongside his teammates, but he wants to get this pick on Midi so that the C4 from below doesn't spell disaster inside of Visa. They know they've isolated the Mozzie in position, but can he get the kill? And Sexy Cake will jump in, but it'll actually be Nest to land the headshot, taking down the Mozzie and giving Liquid the initial pick. Ravinda, though, will get the refrag onto Sexy Cake. That's going to drop Diffuser inside of Visa and also take out the Hibana, meaning the player playing inside a Projector is going to be a lot safer since the Hibana can no longer X-Kairos his wall. Good refrag from Ravinda to capitalize on Sexy Cake's just unawareness and keep Red Devils in this match. Moringa is now going to have to be forced to drone out Visa to go for diffuser recovery. And speaking of drones, we can see just how impactful this Mozzie and Mute combo has been against Team Liquid, as we saw Paula get onto a muted drone there. A lot of intel has just been denied for Liquid, and it's definitely been hurting them. Nesk is going to miss the first frag grenade, not taking any damage to a brow as it detonated just a bit too early. He does know that a player is set up inside of long desk, but he's just going to fall off of the angle. Paula, missing a lot of his shots uncharacteristically, is going to get one-tapped by Zion. And Red Devils finding themselves with a man advantage. They are hurt in the process, though, with both a Brow and Zion extremely low, but Cypress is going to take down Nesk, putting that man advantage even further in Red Devils' favor. As Moringa is now going to be having to try and solo entry from this projector balcony to clear out a site. He does know about the mute's location, and he'll just gun down that player as Moringa tags onto a Brow, and it's suddenly a 2v2. PSK will land the headshot onto Cypress, and Rovinda will have to pull off some heroics in this 1v2 if he wants to still get this draw. There is time on his side, but no utility for the Valkyrie as her C4 has been expended, and both members of Team Liquid know where she is. She's going to have to just charge through the smoke to no avail as Moringa will land the headshot, and that's going to be Team Liquid finally closing out this match with a 7-3 scoreline. Red Devils showing that they at least had some fight in them left after the disastrous first half, but not quite enough, as they will now go on to Team Liquid's map pick of Cafe. In a desperate attempt to walk away from this match with at least 1 point, so they don't have to rely on tie breaks against Pain Gaming, which again I believe Pain Gaming has, but I'll go check that right now. So the two teams drew their first match, and in their second match, Pain Gaming 2-0'd Red Devils. So, should Red Devils lose outright today, they will be auto-relegated. Liquid looking to close in, though, on those 3 points for the opposite story of confirming their first seed position going into the playoffs. So, a lot riding on the line for both these teams, but definitely more for Red Devils, who do not want to find themselves staring down auto relegation. Liquid still has more opportunities to clinch out that first seed position, and they're in a very good position to do so, because they now have guaranteed they're going to walk away with at least 1 point. That's going to put them 2 points ahead of FaZe Clan, which means that into the final day, all they have to do is get 1 point, and they'll force a tie between them and FaZe. But I believe FaZe has the tiebreak there. So if they get 2 points on the next day, they will walk away with the flat-out first seed position. Of course, Liquid wants to just confirm that with a full 3 points today, and they're looking in good position to do so. While that second half, Red Devils showed a lot more strength than they showed on the rest of the match, they're now going to be going onto Liquid's map pick of Cafe. Now, the last time that I believe we've seen Liquid play Cafe was in the first day of Pro League against FaZe Clan, which was a very close 7-5 contest between the two teams, with FaZe coming out on top. I do not believe we've seen Red Devils play Cafe quite yet, but I could be wrong on that assessment. Red Devils at least will be getting to start on defense this time around, so hopefully the strength that they showed on their consulate defenses will carry through to Cafe, so they won't find themselves staring down the barrel of a 6-0 once again. But we'll have to see, as Red Devils will ban out the Jackal once again, not wanting to have their roam play too contested. Liquid are going to be banning the Nomad, though. So that's going to shut down one of the staple operators of Red Devils' lineups. Not that the Nomad was having a lot of impact on their consulate games, but Red Devils definitely felt comfortable having the Nomad around, which she does provide that comfort of knowing that you're just not going to get run out or flanked from a location because you have an air jab on it. So losing that comfort pick for Red Devils could make their attacks struggle even more than they did previously. The Echo ban from Liquid is nothing too surprising, and we'll probably see a Mira or a Maestro ban coming out from Red Devils. I don't know if we've actually seen Mira ever go unbanned on UCafe since it's been out, which means that if there are effective Mira setups on this map, no one's really gotten to show them off. So there we go with that Valkyrie ban. A very good ban for Cafe. We will see Mira around now. So let's see if either one of these teams have anything available. Of course, that Valkyrie ban is very targeted towards both Nesk's skill on that gun, but also the fact that Cafe, being such a new map and a large map, means having the intel of those Valkyrie cams around and being able to throw them up throughout the huge ceilings of Cafe without your opponents really knowing any locations the default cam might be set up. That's going to be a lot of intel that was available to the defense now gone. We're going to see that Mira coming out from Brow, so it'll be curious to see how he wants to use it on this first floor defense. And it looks like the Mozzie is going to be the substitute for the Valkyrie, since they'll need to have some other approach for that intel. Paula now onto Zofia instead of the IQ that he was running on Consulate should mean that the Mozzie's pests will have more impact than they had on those Consulate attacks, as while they were great for denying intel to Team Liquid, they weren't really giving the Mozzie too much intel. We saw the drones be used a couple times, but Paula was very quick on shooting them out. But I'm very curious to see how Abrao sets up his Mira windows. Because, like, once again, we haven't seen really any Mira play on Bakery or any of the sites on Cafe, because, again, Mira has been banned just about every single time. Of course, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Europe is the region that's played Cafe the most, playing it every single one of their playdays on playday number 1, and Europe loves to ban Mira. We're going to see the first Mira window set up looking into Bakery from the site, so likely wanting to contest that direct push from Team Liquid. And the second one is going to be set up onto the north side walls. So nothing too crazy from the Mira setups. Definitely designed to prevent Liquid from just being able to close into sight. This rotate hole set up at the bottom of Red Stairs, though, is going to allow the roamers of Red Devil a lot more freedom. And because of the Mira window, they can actually gun down any Liquid players that try and abuse the rotate for themselves. That's a very fascinating Mira setup that they have put there, really to defend their own rotate. Now we'll see if it works out in their favor, or if Liquid is able to adapt and shut it down. We have Nesk on Ashe, by the way, which I did not catch at the very beginning. We haven't seen a lot of Nesk playing Ashe since he lost that ACOG, and it looks like he's going to be on the G36C now. Nesk has always been a player that likes to play Ashe from afar, so not too surprising that he favors that ACOG. And Moringa is going to land a flurry of kills coming out from Liquid, as Moringa, PSK, and Paula all get kills of their own to put Cypress in a 1v4. Thankfully, Midi did get Nesk early on, but Paula's going to be there to gun down Cypress. I'm not entirely certain what just happened as we were watching the Bakery door. A very slow push, and then all of a sudden it looked like Liquid just chained together kill after kill. And Red Devils losing what momentum they had from Consulate in dramatic fashion there. Hopefully, though, they can adjust and adapt, as they still have 5 more defenses to go before they have to attack, something that they've shown themselves to struggle with, but perhaps they've worked out something interesting on this new map for either one of those sides. We're going to see Red Devils immediately go up to the 3rd floor instead, not wanting to attempt that Bakery hold once again, as it obviously did not work out, and they don't want to make any sort of adaptations right now to figure out why. We are going to still see Abrao setting up his Mira windows. We have this first one on the eastern side of Cocktail, a wall that we've seen a lot of Maestros and Smokes take advantage of, with shotgunning out the top portion and playing on top of that desk. And with the mirror window, it's going to be a lot safer to play there. And we've seen just how powerful that position can be for denying a cigar side take. We'll see though if he adjusts his second mirror window for a different location. I'm very curious to see where his mirror setups go, as every single site, it's going to be something new by virtue of us just not seeing Cafe enough with the mirror. Sexy Cake taking a lot of damage from what was likely some sort of spawn peak, and that's going to be your Thermite, extremely low in health, and Sexy Cake would have been their planter otherwise, but they've given Diffuser over to PSK because of the sheer amount of damage he's taken. One gas canister will wipe him off the map, and with resets no longer being in the game, he's going to have to live with that health for the rest of the round, so good damage from Red Devils onto an important operator. Even a Goo Mine could take him out, but Moringa will take out Midi as Paulo will land a kill onto Cypress. And once again, Red Devils find themselves on the back foot. Zion will finish off what little there was of Sexy Cake. And that's going to bring Red Devils still within a fighting chance, but in the first minute, losing two members of your defense, and in particular losing a C4 and your Goo Mines, does not bode well for Red Devils. They did get the pick onto the Thermite, so that is an important pick. But we'll see if they come out, and Paul is just going to tack onto that with a kill onto the smoke. So what potential argument they had for winning out the utility game has been completely lost, as Zion and Brow are the last two players alive for Red Devils. This is looking eerily similar to the Consulate game. Zion, though, doesn't want it to go that way just quite as much, as he'll get the kill onto Nesk, but Paula's there to shut him down. Paula having a fantastic performance, leaving a Brow in a 1v3, a situation we've seen him in many times before, and he hasn't pulled it out quite yet, but maybe this will be the one. Attackers have a lot of time to work with. He's going to get pushed from every single side and flame bolted, and Paula is just going to clean up that Mira. And Team Liquid going up 2-0 once again. But this time it's on Liquid's attacks, whereas previously it was on Liquid's defenses. Liquid showing off why they picked this map, for sure. And Red Devils really not having an answer for anything Liquid is doing so far. And this does not bode well at all, considering how poorly they attacked Consulate. Now, hopefully, for Red Devils' sake, that was just Red Devils being unready for Consulate. They have something else for Cafe. But if they can't chain together this, at least this last round of the first half of the defensive half, I'm going to be starting to get very worried for Red Devils, as I feel that even them walking away with a 3-3 split on their defense is going to put them in a very poor position, considering how abysmal their attacks looked. Now, again, that was on a different map, and maybe Red Devils does have a lot more worked out. It's hard to judge until we see it. But a lot of their flaws on Consulate seem to scream just unadaptability and poor drone work, as well as losing every gunfight, which aren't really issues that are specific to just Consulate. And especially on a newer map where you're not droning well, that's going to make it even harder, as you don't know the angles that players might be set up in. To Red Devils' credit on their defense, though, they are looking a lot more adaptable in their site selection, as they have once again rotated sites, not wanting to gamble on that third floor or the bakery site, instead going to the brand new site of Reading Room and Fireplace. We have Liquid going for this top-down clear that is very reminiscent of the old Cafe approach, but with a lot more avenues for both defenders to contest from and attackers to push from, especially with the introduction of the second hatch over the balcony. It looks like Nesk is just going to be holding for anyone trying to rotate from red stairs, as Paula gets himself droned in. Not spotting out any opponents means that Paula is just going to get the go-ahead to just push all the way down red stairs. He's even going to take away his claymore and now put it onto the bottom portion of red stairs, as good drone work coming out from Liquid to give themselves a lot of map control halfway through the round. As Paula has worked his way completely into mining, he's going to spot at the back of midi, and that's the Mozzie taken down. Paula just aggressively entering every single round and just catching Red Devils completely off guard every step of the way. A lot of these kills have been on defenders, just haven't been looking in the direction of Paula. So, not a lot of intel available. Paula's Claymore is going to find a second kill onto Zion. So, Liquid finding themselves with a 5-on-3 advantage with a minute left in the round and a good amount of map control. Abrow will finally answer back for Red Devils as Nesk will be shut down once again with a C4. And Moringa exposing himself to this angle from Reading Room Door that I'm not sure he's aware of. He's going to back off now, finally. But there was a player set up there. Moringa's actually going to lose his drone to a Mozzie. It cannot get moved, and he's going to shoot it out immediately. So not a lot of utility coming out from Red Devils there, but they are going to deny the drone work of Liquid. As Paula now works his way into sight, he basically has Fireplace all to himself. He's going to spot the head of the smoke and take down Rovinda, giving himself full Fireplace control. Sexy King is going to land the shot onto a Brow, and it's all up to Cypress in a 1v4. PSK is starting to plant as Paula will finally get gunned down by Cypress. So it's going to be a 1v3 post-plant situation for the Legion. It's going to take a lot of damage and be shut down, though, by Sexy Cake. And the Thermite getting the final kill of the round means Liquid are going to be going up 3-0 once again, but this time on their attacks. And like I said before, I don't see Red Devils winning this now that they can only hope to get an even split from their defense because, again, their attacks just were not on point on Consulate. And I'm worried we're going to see a lot of the same approach here. Now, one thing I think in Red Devils' favor is that there's no always take admin style that there was on Consulate, as there's not really a crux point of the map the way there is on Consulate, where you can enter from admin and get a lot of map control quickly and push in through admin. Cafe doesn't really seem to have that, at least not yet, because of how undefined the meta is. So the temptation to just keep doing the same thing over and over again might not be there for Red Devils, so they won't fall into that trap once again, but we'll have to see. Still, this half isn't over, and they can still pull this back to a 3-3 split, and then maybe they have something crazy for their attacks, or maybe Liquid is just going to drop the ball on their defenses, as again, it's a very new map, and it's very hard to say what might happen. Red Devils are going to change up their lineup a bit by bringing Ravinda onto the Vigil now. So, Red Devils trying really to just deny the trustworthiness of Liquid's intel. But in the process of their intel denial, they've actually been denying themselves the opportunity to have a lot of intel on their own. The best they can hope for is really MIDI getting some drones, which hasn't been happening that much, and a lot of drones we've seen them capture have been shot immediately, and a browse mirror windows, which are very effective for providing intel, but not for general map knowledge intel, but rather for directional pushes. We do have the Legion of Cyprus to provide some level of intel, but it doesn't seem like his Gumans have been really set up in any positions to provide Red Devils with a lot of help in that regard, as, again, Liquid has just been kind of entering, particularly on the backs of Paula, who has been having a phenomenal game. But they've been entering from locations that Red Devils just haven't been ready for and shooting their players in the back. And that speaks to a real lack of intel over the map for Red Devils. That Valkyrie ban of their own likely hurting them more than it would hurt Team Liquid, as we've seen Liquid more comfortable to run operators like Maestro to make up for the lack of Valk camps, which Red Devils has not won at all on Cafe just yet. And while the lack of the Maestro does make their defenses a bit more flexible, it's going to keep those flexible players getting shut down, as Moringa will just land a shot onto the Vigil, and Zion's going to take a lot of damage himself. So despite trying to go for this flexible roam game, it hasn't been working out. Cypress will return onto Nesk, who hasn't been having a great game himself, but when Paula's taking every single kill, I guess it doesn't really matter. Zion will now fall back onto site and join his teammates, knowing that his health is far too low to really pull much off up top. And that's going to forfeit, though, the top control to Team Liquid pretty handedly. And they have a lot of vertical destruction available to start opening things up between the Gridlock's Pocket Shoddy and possible breach charges on the Thatcher and Zofio's impacts. Paulo, speaking of the Zofio, will land a kill onto Midi, and he sees another player, the Legion. He's going to light up Cypress, bringing the Legion's health quite low, but won't quite find the kill just yet. 30 seconds to go, so Red Devils has stalled out Liquid's approach fairly efficiently so far, but their health is just not there for this engagement. And PSK is going to tack onto that, taking down Zion. That's the Jaeger finally finished off. Liquid looking to get up 4-0 as Paulo lands a kill onto Cypress. Abra will refrag onto Moringa, so that's the Capitao taken down. But he's in a 1v3, and his own mirror window is going to be used against him as Paulo lands an easy shot through the wall. And Liquid going up 4-0 on their attacks. Are we going to see a repeat of Consulate, but from the reverse, with Liquid going up 6-0 once again? For Red Devils' sake, and their hopes of not getting auto-relegated, I hope not. But they're going to have to show that they are made of more than they have displayed this entire match. Because bear in mind, the only way for this team to walk away with even a single point is they have to win this match outright, or this map outright. And Red Devils is currently facing a 4-0 scoreline. It's a very difficult position to claw back from. It even harder when it's been their defense. The one thing that they looked all right on their Consulate defenses. That's what's been hurting Red Devils, is they haven't been able to really make any of these sites work. They're going to go back up to this top floor now, and honestly, I think the scoreboard speaks for itself. Well, kills aren't the end-all, be-all. When the most kills a single member of your team has gotten is 2, and your entire team has gotten a total of 7 kills over 4 rounds, that means you're losing every gunfight or being caught unawares, and that's a position that becomes very, very hard to claw your way back from. Red Devils are going to be making an adaptation finally to give themselves a little bit more intel by bringing the Maestro. And instead they're going to drop the Mozzie completely and have the Mute for their drone denial, which at this point I feel is the right call. Intel denial has definitely been useful, but it hasn't been enough, and Paula coming eerily close to getting a kill on an unsuspecting defender once again. But like I was saying, it's the lack of intel that's been hurting Red Devils more than their ability to deny intel to Team Liquid, and the Mozzie play just has not been making up for the lack of a Valkyrie or a Maestro. So it is a good thing that they finally brought that Maestro. But is it going to be too little too late? We are finally seeing a bit more of a static defense also coming out from Red Devils instead of the kind of free flow defense they had on a lot of the other sites earlier on. So hopefully it'll keep them from getting picked off without any hope for a refrag, as they've been playing far too loose from each other before for that hopes. And Cypress is going to tack one onto Sexy Cake and not get refragged by Paula himself. So that is a very good sign from Red Devils. It's going to take down the Thermite. That's their hard breach gone, and Cigar Piano can no longer be opened up whatsoever. Liquid is aware of Cypress's position, but he's going to look away from the door at just the wrong time. But Cypress only managing to connect a single bullet on what could have been a free kill, as Paula now has the Legion completely isolated inside a Piano. He does have a lot of other defenders, though, there that could potentially get the refrag, as Nesk is going to finally drop into the balcony. His position going to be given away by his own gunfire onto the camera. Ness turning his back to what looked to be a defender coming up on his position, and there's Cypress for a second kill, and he downs another player and lights up PSK. Midi will get the confirm onto Paula with PSK with about 1 health, and Red Devils looking to get their first round on the board. This is all going to be up to Moringa and a very hurt PSK to try and salvage this round, but with only 40 seconds to go and no map control to speak of. Cypress putting on an excellent showing on just holding down that door. Moringa, though, will tack on a kill finally onto a brow before Cypress follows up with his third of the round. It's all up to PSK1. He's got about 10 health. Actually, scratch that. He's got about 5 health. A single goo mine could spell disaster for him in these final 14 seconds. As he now tries to approach up white stairs, and there's that goo mine I was talking about. Cypress getting his 4th kill of the round, and also being the one that downed the 5th player. So the Legion single-handedly giving Red Devils their first round on the board. The more static defense seemed to be paying off a lot more for Red Devils this time around, as the players were constantly in positions where even if Cypress lost some of those gunfights, he could have been refragged instantly. And that wasn't something we'd been seeing from Red Devils' defenses on Cafe before. Before, they had a lot of players that would just be spread out across the different sites, the different floors, excuse me, and would get picked off one by one, and then Paulo would walk into the back of the site and gun down the remaining defenders. This way, playing a little bit closer to site and constantly being in positions to both refrag and relay information to one another meant that Liquid did not have that luxury. We're going to see the Mozzie come back now, as Red Devils is going to abandon the Mira setup entirely. But they are going to be sticking a brow onto the Maestro, finally realizing their lack of intel and how much it was hurting them before. So I do appreciate this call. However, unlike that top floor where you can set up some Maestro cameras that can have full purview of all of the top floor, you can't really get away with that on Bakery, especially with the fact that you are likely going to be contesting players up top as well. So it's going to be up to Midi either catching a couple of drones, well-placed goo mines, or just good roam game to really get the information on the rest of Liquid's push. We do see one thing that Red Devils has done thanks to some of their earlier rounds is it's put Liquid on guard for a lot of these spawn peaks. And they've been checking those windows, and it's been slowing down their approach by a few seconds, as they don't want to have Sexy Cake get lit up once again. We're going to see a slower round for once from Liquid here, as they're just trying to drone out and make sure they have the intel on where they want to push. It looks like Red Devils has tightened up a bit again, but they still have one player off on his own on the second floor. The rest of the players are all playing pretty close-knit on Bakery, which means they can fight for refrags. But if the single player tasked with guarding the top floor is droned out by Liquid and taken down, it could cause things to spiral. But it looks like that player did realize, I believe that was the Legion of Cyprus, and he's come back down. But that does mean they are no longer contesting the top floor at all. Looks like Liquid's wary of some sort of bandit trick, as Sexy Cake will pull off of the wall. But he'll finally open it up, and the Thermite has now opened up both walls that Liquid wanted control of. And Zion will be the first casualty, and Nesk finally not being the first casualty for Liquid, and instead getting a kill of his own. And he'll tack on another onto Midi, while Paula followed up onto Rovinda. Frag grenades coming out from Paula onto the position of the Maestro. He'll down the Maestro, but he can't finish him off. Moringa is there, though, to get the kill on the Maestro. It's all up to Cypress in a 1v5. It's looking more and more like Liquid is going to go up 5-1 at this half, unless we see heroics come out from Cypress. He did in the previous round, but he wasn't in this bad of a situation before. That's going to be a flawless round from Liquid, and Ness getting the triple kill, as it's a 5-1 split. What signs of life Red Devils seem to have in the previous round have been extinguished. And it's going to be up to them showing they have something else available for these next 6 rounds, if they want to walk away with the 1 point they need in order to prevent themselves from being auto-relegated. Should Liquid push this to a match point, I don't believe that Red Devils can in any way, shape, or form escape auto-relegation. So Red Devils is going to have to go flawless on these 6 rounds, and it looks like the spearhead for doing so is going to be a blitz. we're going to see Liquid going up to the top floor and bringing out the alibi for the first time in this match. We're likely going to see Paula setting up a lot of these decoys onto the windows on the site to try and deny field of view for Red Devils players on the rappel. We do have Red Devils, at least this time, unlike their beginning consulate approach, starting off the bat with bringing utility. They have the Thatcher, the Capitao, both available, as well as some frag grenades from the sledge. So, unlike before on their consulate takes, where they invested pretty much primarily on soft breach utility and not anything else, they do have it diversified. And it'll be interesting to see how this Blitz MIDI plays out on Cafe. As Cafe isn't a map like Oregon per se, where you can kind of corridor players into really close quarters combat, which is where Blitz shines. Instead, there's a lot of long angles that a defender can take and a lot of effective crossfires, especially on this top floor. And that could spell disasters for MIDI on the Blitz. Of course, the Blitz will also mean that Red Devils has an extra set of smoke grenades in case they lose the Capitao, as they'd been losing him before on a lot of their previous consulate attacks where they did finally bring him, but a lot of that to do with Zion being their entry of sorts. And we saw Zion rush into a lot of situations, get a kill, and then get refragged, and that'd be your Capitao completely gone. Midi's also an entry frag though, so his smokes might not last long enough for that. They are going to drone out PSK on his lone sim, but Sexy Cake, like I said, with that crossfire, he does not get droned out, and he shuts down the Blitz. Cypress is there to tack onto him, but PSK will get the refrag. Nesk follows up with an unturn of Brow, as Ravinda will finally refrag onto Nesk, and it's going to be a 2v3 with Red Devils on the back foot. Moringa playing this long angle as both members of Red Devils have been isolated to the western balcony. Not even able to get control of Piano that they wanted due to some poor drone work, not catching Sexy Cake. And Zion forgetting to equip his scope, it looks like. Giving up that extremely powerful range scope that the M249 gets, and instead having some clunky iron sights. Means that he's really going to be relying on Ravinda likely for this fragging to happen on the remaining 3 members of Team Liquid. Keep in mind, this is the round that will determine Red Devils' fate of auto-relegation. They have to win this. And it looks like Moringa is very aware that Ravinda plans on pushing from White Stairs, as there's a crossfire there. Paula lands the headshot. It's all up to Zion in a 1v3 situation. Iron Sights M249. Diffuser down at the top of White Stairs, and the remaining members of Team Liquid all holding nice angles onto his potential entry points, with a lot of good crossfires going up. The flashes and the flames will give away his position, so they very well know that he's going to be pushing up White Stairs, and it looks like that smoke actually went too high to really be of use. Paula's going to run up and gun down Zion, and that's going to be it for Red Devils' hopes of escaping auto-relegation. At this point on, it's just a matter of pride and how many rounds they can string together, as well as practice at least for their Pro League season. But they will be auto-relegated from BR6, regardless of the conclusion of tomorrow's match, or not tomorrow, next week's matches. As they'll take a tactical timeout and try and, I guess, discuss what they can do to pull at least a draw out of this for their... Yeah, I wonder what goes on through their minds right now, because it is a tough situation to be in, knowing that you are confirmed auto-relegated regardless of what you do from this point on. But at the same time, I'm sure that they don't want to let this turn into a flat-out loss. So Liquid, though, confirming themselves a minimum of 2 points, are also likely going to be very happy, as that's going to put them 3 points ahead of FaZe Clan, meaning that if they get even a single point from their games next week, or actually they might be the week after. No, they are next week, indeed. So should they get a single point from next week, they will confirm their place at first seed. And like I've said many times, In the King of the Hill format that BR6 revolves around for its playoff positions, that first seed becomes extremely important. We are going to see the gridlock be run by Zion now, instead of the Capitao that he had been electing to utilize before. And hopefully he'll have a scope on his M249 this time, as Red Devil's just going to be looking to try and string together some rounds, maybe force this to a draw, but it's going to be an uphill battle either way, and one that's not going to have the reward they want at the end of the day. Liquid, though, are going to be electing to go for this Reading Room Fireplace defense. The newest site that we've seen a lot of teams experiment with. And now, I do say new, but in all honesty, with the way Cafe has been reworked, that basement site is essentially new as well, as the old bakery was unwinnable. Borderline unwinnable, unless you could get some really lucky refrags and jump outs going. And they've completely adjusted that. They moved around where the bombs are. They've changed up a lot of the layout of the basement. So, really, the only site that is still the same as it was before is going to be mining and dining with fireplace mining. And even that site is a little different, as you can now shoot it up from below, which wasn't something you could do before, but we haven't seen that sort of buck play verticality come out, so it's still played very similarly. We're going to see Sexy Cake holding on to Piano with Nesk set up in the Cocktail Eastern balcony, as the two of them are going to want to be maintaining top floor control for as long as possible. They also have PSK here Paula here to help them out. Red Devils does know about this, and they're going to be going for that top floor clear, as they want to get that verticality going, especially with their sledge, to root out the positions of Liquid members. The wall at the top of Red Stairs will be opened up, and Sexy Cake is going to start laying into the dock as he gets pushed pretty heavily in a beautiful headshot onto a brow. I didn't even see the shot land. It's going to give Sexy Cake at least one kill out of this situation. He's going to res himself back up with the dock, and Paula's going to actually get Midi taken down with his crossfire. So Sexy Cake will get to live. No one from Red Devils able to shut him down just quite yet, but Cypress will get 1-on-2. Sexy Cake, Maringo will be taken out by a frag grenade. Paula's going to come around with a shotgun and connect the final 2 kills, and just in a flurry of action, despite Red Devils trying to pull that back, Paula with the shotgun making magic happen like he's made happen all day, is going to win out that 1v2 in the chaos at the top of Red and confirm Liquid's first seed, regardless of how the matches in round 14 break down. Red Devils are going to be going home, knowing that they're going to be auto-relegated regardless of their outcome in round 14. But Liquid are going to be your first seed for the BR6 playoff format. We'll be getting into INTZ and Immortals likely in about half an hour or so from now. There'll be a timer that BR6 will throw up soon, and I'll put up my own BRB screens shortly, but I hope you guys join in for that. That match is going to have a lot of playoff implications going, and I can get into those numbers a bit now again. As for the 3rd and 4th seeds, as now with Liquid getting this first seed confirmed, FaZe is now going to be locked in for 2nd seed. There isn't a single team that can catch them in 2nd seed. So FaZe Clan and Liquid are both determined. But for the 3rd and 4th seed, there isn't a single team that's locked in, as Ninjas and Pajamas are both at 17 points apiece. INTZ is at 14, and Immortals is at 11. Now, since there's a maximum of 3 points you can get, Immortals can get up to 17, INTZ can get up to 20, and Nip and Black Dragons can both get up to 20 themselves, as they've already played their matches. So for Immortals to make it to playoffs, they have to get the full 3 points from today's match against INTZ. For INTZ, today's matches are important for them trying to stay up in the playoff running, but if they lose today, they could still potentially make it depending on the outcome of Ninjas in Pajamas and Black Dragons' matches. Something to note is that we could have, on the final day, a 4-way, 17-point tie, at which point I'm not entirely sure how BR6 handles its tie breaks, and that could be a whole crazy thing in and of itself. But really, the takeaway is that for the upcoming match, for both INTZ and Immortals, winning this is very intrinsic to trying to keep control of their own destiny for making it into playoffs. Should INTZ win today, they don't have to worry about Ninjas or Pajamas or Black Dragons getting a single point in the next day because they can still make just as many points themselves. If Immortals loses this at all, they lose to drop a single point, they are done. They're not making it in there. And your Season 9 second seed from Pro League will not be in your BR6 finals. If INTZ walks away with any points from this match, again, they still stay in that running. If they walk away with none, they're in it, but they don't have control of their own destiny. So the next match will have a lot of implications on the line, and it's going to be very important to both of these teams. Arguably, Immortals more so, as this match will determine whether Immortals stays in the running or not. So I hope you guys will join me for that. Like I said, I'll be back in about 30 to 40 minutes. Basically, whenever the next match starts, I'm not entirely certain as I don't have the timer myself up yet, but that's traditionally how long it's taken for the next rounds to start. It's been about 30 to 40 minutes. So hope you guys join in there, and I hope you enjoyed watching that game. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Adios. And we are back. So we're going to be getting into map ban shortly. But before we do that, I'm going to once again run over things with INTZ and Immortals for anyone tuning in now that didn't hear my spiel during Liquid's game against Red Devils. But regardless, essentially this matchup is going to determine the outcomes for playoffs for a lot of teams because right now Liquid and FaZe are locked in at 1 and 2 respectively. Ninjas in Pajamas and Black Dragons currently hold third and fourth with 17 points each. INTZ is at 14, and Immortals is at 11. If Immortals loses, if Immortals loses a single one of these maps or draws a single one of these maps, Immortals is out of the playoffs picture. INTZ can't be knocked out today, but if they don't get any points today, their fate both relies on NiP and Black Dragons both losing, or well, one of them losing at the least, and INTZ has to have the tiebreaker over whichever one is still stuck at 17. So it has a lot of implication there, obviously, in terms of which teams are going to be in the playoff picture. There is a possibility that we could have 4 teams tied at 17 points at the end of the BR6 league, as there's only one round of games left. This is the final match of round 13, then we'll have round 14. We have the auto relegation spot determined, so none of these teams can fall into that, as Red Devils has shored that up and prevented these teams from being auto relegated. Now, something that should be interesting here is that the last time these two teams met up, INTZ 7-0'd Immortals, which to say was unexpected is an understatement. In Pro League, INTZ just recently walked away with 7-0'ing Immortals, who did not look good that match at all. And it's an odd place for Immortals to be, who went undefeated in Pro League Season 9 until their final playdate against FaZe. But Immortals hasn't been that effective on BR6, or LAN in general, but BR6 in particular, Immortals has struggled. That's why they are currently in 6th place and looking to fight their way into playoffs. Which again, for Immortals, it's not going to be in their control. Even if they win these next 2 matches, which is very doable considering who they're up against. They are facing INTZ here, and then they get to face Pain Gaming, who are the 7th place team, who were auto-relegated from Pro League last season. So Immortals does have the benefit of not having a very difficult matchup like FaZe or Liquid or Ninjas in Pajamas might prove to be. But they also don't have the luxury of being able to just win their matches and get in. They have to rely on Black Dragons and NiP, or at least one of them, losing. And as far as tiebreaks go, I believe they only have the tiebreak over NiP. I believe Black Dragons has the tiebreak. No, sorry, they are directly tied with NiP. But with Black Dragons, do they have the tiebreak? No, they're also directly tied with Black Dragons. So let me double check over this again. So they went 1-1 with their first match against NiP, and their second match against NiP. Immortals has the tiebreak over NiP, but are directly tied with Black Dragons. How that would work in terms of a tiebreak situation, I'm not entirely certain, as I don't know BR6 rules to that extent. But what I can tell you is that should NiP secure that point, then Immortals would be out unless it goes to a 3-way tie with Black Dragons. It's going to be a mess of a tiebreak situation for Immortals regardless, but the key point that I'm trying to get at is the fact that they can get a max of 17 points, and Black Dragons and NiP are both sitting on them. Assuming Black Dragons and NiP lose their next 2 games, which is possible. So that's a bold choice from Immortals, just to pull us back into the match for a second. Immortals just picked Cafe. That is the map that, if my memory serves correctly, and I hope it does because I watched this match last night, INTZ beat Immortals on Cafe 7-0. So the fact that Immortals picked Cafe is questionable. Maybe in those 7 rounds, Immortals said, we know exactly what INTZ likes to do, and we were just using that as a scouting opportunity in Pro League. Who knows? And LAN is a different beast than online. And maybe Immortals just wants redemption. But when your season in BR6 rides on this match and your next one, it is a bold choice to take your opponents to the map where they 7-0'd you. What, 2 days ago? They played on Friday when they got 7-0'd. It has been 2 days since Immortals lost to INTZ on that map. But I digress. Like I was saying, Immortals has a very uphill climb if they want to get into the playoffs. INTZ, still to a degree, but less so. It's going to be a very difficult climb should they lose here to Immortals, because then they're going to be in the exact same boat Immortals is, where they're, regardless of how well they do, their game may not be in their hands. It depends on how Black Dragons and Ninjas in Pajamas fare. If INTZ wins here, though, then they're going to be tied at 17 alongside Black Dragons and NIP, meaning that they can control their own destinies to a degree. Both Immortals and INTZ do have probably the easier matchups of that round, as Black Dragons faces FaZe and Ninjas in Pajamas faces Liquid. These two teams face the 7th and 8th place teams, so they're looking good when they look at round 14 and their chances there. It's not out of the realm of possibility, it's just they have to rely on Black Dragons or NIP not getting a single point out of their matchups against FaZe and Liquid, and both NIP and Black Dragons have shown themselves very capable of going toe-to-toe with both those teams. Regardless, we'll now be getting into Cafe, and Immortals is going to start things off with a Thatcher ban, followed by INTZ's Maverick ban, and then a Maestro ban from... Immortals are the ones that banned Maverick and Maestro. INTZ has banned Thatcher and Mira. Now, it's hard to judge from an initial standpoint how impactful these bans are going to be on New Cafe. Obviously, the Maestro and Mira bans are pretty default bans for your defense, so it shouldn't impact things too much. Now the Echo is on the table, which we haven't really seen a lot of in Cafe because he always gets banned. So that'll be interesting, and we do still have Valkyrie, so they're not going to be intel starved like Red Devils were in their previous game. The thing I want to highlight, though, is that this Thatcher and this Maverick ban, Thatcher in particular is going to mean that a lot of the utility that INTZ or Immortals, when they go to their defenses, are going to be setting around the maps, it's going to stick around. In particular, opening stuff like the wall into piano, or perhaps the bakery wall, is going to become a lot harder because you both are losing your Thatcher to just throw it at the wall, get in, job done, or your Maverick to open up the wall, find the hole, get in, job done. Instead, you're going to have to rely probably on vertical pressure coming out from either the IQ, the Buck, or both of them working together. Or even the Gridlock could handle some of that. And we're going to see Navi's on Gridlock once again, like he was in this match against INTZ. Gridlock's had a bit of an interesting introduction into Pro League. I know I use the word interesting a lot, but in this case, I do think it's very fitting because something that I don't think a lot of people expected when they look at Gridlock's kit and the fact that she's a 3 armor is for Gridlock being picked up by a lot of these aggressive entry style players. Navi's being the example for Immortals, but we've also seen players like Uno, famously on G2, playing a lot of Gridlock. So despite her lack of speed, it seems that a lot of these entry style players are still very, very comfortable, possibly due to the guns, or maybe just due to her overall utility. Either way, most people, when they were looking at Gridlock's kit, were probably thinking that she's going to go to more of your supportive players, because again, those smokes and the tracks and the pocket shotgun are all very utility focused. And then the M249 kind of adds to that, as Capitao has traditionally been a support oriented role, although you have some aggressive players like Joystick still utilizing it. But Capitao is also a 3-speed, the opposite of Gridlock, so it makes a little bit more sense for him. Regardless, Immortal seems to be dead set on using Navis for the Gridlock attacks. And we're seeing a very instantly this mute Mozzie combo that we saw a lot of in the previous matches, paying dividends for the defense is just stalling out the attacks and denying a lot of drone work. Navis knows that there are players located up here in Cigar, but he cannot get their exact positions because of the mute jammers and the pests, and we saw his own drone get muted. And Immortals, they still have to clear through this top floor before they can even get to work on the middle floor. They do have bullets set up inside of Piano, and Cyber's going to be on this window repel. So they're finally starting to work on this Cigar side clear, but they've got a minute to go. No kills coming out, or not even a lick of damage for either team. M King trying to just hold down the positions of the player of INTZ that is droned away onto the launch, but he's going to give up that angle now, with PX getting the first kill onto Duds, who almost took down M King. Drunks is going to lose about half of his health, as well as Navis repels in and tries to go for the finisher on the player that was droned out by the balcony, but that's going to be Drunks, who dropped down. So top floor control has finally been vacated by the members of INTZ, but they did a great job of stalling out time, as Immortals now has 30 seconds. They're not going to be able to open up anything really and play off of those holes, and they have to just attack into the site. They do have the man advantage, which is going to pay in their favor, but a lot of denial available to the members of INTZ. 3 C4s and gas canisters, and Intact's going to gun down Bullet. Drunks is going to tag onto Cyber. PX will find one onto Drunks, but VNX will get one onto Navis. Intact will net onto M King, and PX having to get Boar, but finds himself in an unwinnable situation. No time left on the clock, and Immortals going down 0-1 at the beginning, looking eerily similar, at least so far, to their Pro League match. Hopefully, this is not a repeat on Cafe. But like their Pro League match on Cafe, they struggled to attack and just stalled out time and time again. INTZ are likely feeling very good about that round, knowing that, yeah, they lost the initial pick, but it didn't matter. They wasted so much time on the top floor. Immortals attacked the site with about 15 seconds. The Vitality style, if you will. And Vitality got relegated. Regardless, we're going to now be going down to the basement. And we're going to see the Qaid brought out, as well as the Bandit. So that Thatcher band making a lot of sense now, as INTZ are going to take full advantage, and the Mav band's going to just pay into this, as Immortals is going to have a lot of trouble opening up these walls that are going to be electrified thanks to the combo of the Bandit and the Qaid. Now, they do have the benefit of, again, of this being the basement attack, so the Buck or the IQ, if they can get that second floor control, you can open up a lot of bakery from above and shoot out those batteries as well as the Electroclaws, but we saw how long it took Immortals to clear and get that vertical pressure, and last time they couldn't even apply pressure once they had the control. They just didn't have the time. We see Trunks actually leaving the bakery walls facing the front door soft so that he can go for some shots through the bottom of the wall that have been opened up. A bit of an aggressive play, but not too much risk on the side of the dock based on how long that angle is. That said, Immortals, having players like the Buck and stuff, can just open that up and take away the advantage that Drunks has in that fight, and that is indeed what they're going to do, as the wall's been completely opened up with a bulletproof camera, giving Drunks all the information he needs, and the defenders are very wary now because of that bulletproof camera and the setup. A player just relaying information to Drunks as well as some good pings could give the Doc quite a few kills. He is going to get droned out, so Immortals are aware of his positioning. but it doesn't look like they really have an answer for it despite knowing that it exists, at least not yet. Just playing very loosely with that camera. Drunk's unable to get the drone before it scampers away through the drone hole. And he knows his position is compromised, but he's wasting a lot of time, and the attackers are very, very hesitant to push him because of that bulletproof cam. We can see the electrified walls still staying up, so the Thatcher ban proving to have quite a few dividends right now, as Drugs is going to overheal himself. And we're getting into the final minute. VNX is still up top, just getting to live his life. And Immortals not looking ready to push, looking very hesitant, and making me question this map choice. Drunk sees the Capitale, but is unable to land any shots, but he won't get shot at in return either. So, just a bit of a flirting there, but Bullet will get the first kill onto Intact. That vertical pressure from the Buck coming out and allowing the wall to get opened up. Duz will follow up onto Bullets. The Buck has now been taken down, and PX is very low. Drunks was hurt in his little engagement there, but he's going to be able to heal himself up as a Doc. His stim pistols are now gone, but 36 seconds left for Immortals to attack the site. All the information coming out via some cameras for INTZ, and Drunks can just hold on to this angle. He's going to spot out the Capitale, but not able to land his shots. Navius will follow on onto Duds, and Cyber with another onto Drunks. That's the Doc taken down. VNX and Boar having to now retake their site, and Boar will be gunned down in the process. VNX will land one onto PX, meaning that he's in a 1v3. He's got 10 seconds, but Diffuser is going to finally get planted, meaning the Legion's going to have to look to fight his way into sight and then get the defuse. He doesn't really have time or guns on his side, but a beautiful flick onto Navius will be returned by a shot from M King, and VNX will be taken down, and Immortals will get their first round against INTZ on Cafe over 2 maps, finally. It will not be another 7-0, ladies and gentlemen. But is that enough to get them the victory? Compared to their Pro League debut, we will see. Of course, maybe they have the 200 IQ strats going right now of throwing their Pro League game and lulling INTZ into a false sense of security for BR6 when they take them on Cafe and show a completely different look. But yeah, I'll let the conspiracy crafting stick in the comments. Bullet teasing the Blackbeard, trying to get, I guess, the members of INTZ afraid of window play, but he's going to swap back onto the Buck. We are going to see the Ying coming out from Cyber, though, so dropping the Capitale and instead having a more dynamic entry-focused operator compared to the pure support and denial the Capitale has. We'll see if that's going to help them spearhead some of their attacks in, and honestly, with how powerful Immortals, or with how powerful Capitale is, sorry, I actually think that this is a good read from Immortals. Even though they have dropped the sheer utility that Capitale offers, the biggest thing that has been stalling them out, even on that last attack which they won, has been their time. They have not had really the strength to entry and just get onto the site and start making stuff happen. That last round, a couple gunfights go the other way. If Drunks landed his shots on the Capitale, they probably would have lost that round then and there. So a good way to remedy that situation is to just run the Ying, and now you have a very aggressive spearhead that can get you the map control either early on or a little bit later that you want, and try and push your way into the site for your execute. INTZ, though, are going to have a lot of tools at their disposal to both give them information and stall this out, with the Echo, Mozzie, and the Valkyrie all giving quite a lot of information to the side of INTZ. And also the Jaeger in play means that a good, well-placed ADS could shut down the Candelo approach entirely from Cyber. We're going to see Navius once again taking up perch on the Skylight. We've seen him do this a couple times before on some of the other attacks, but hasn't really netted anything out of it yet, and Tuds somehow landed the kill on Cyber, who was aware of the runout, but unable to connect enough shots with the Jaeger, and that's going to be the Ying taken off the board without using any of her Candelas. A huge pick for Duds, and that's going to stall out Immortals even more. as they will not have the benefit of the first kill like they've had on the previous rounds. And we can see that intel really shining for INTZ there, as player after player just on cameras revealing the information of where Immortals players are set up. They have VNX tasked with holding white stairs, and Duds is there to potentially support him or push into Piano, as he's going to get his second kill of the round onto Navi's, and that's your gridlock gone, as well as your smokes. Immortals not looking great here, and the Echo's going to relay the information about the remaining members pushing in, but he's going to get his drone shot. So, a questionable decision to go for those pings and drop his yokai, as it didn't look like Immortals was aware, but it is possible the IQ of PX was actually what shot out that drone. It was hard to tell. Regardless, the Echo does still have another drone available, and INTZ is well aware of the positions of the Immortals players trying to get control of Piano and push in from the Cigar side. Intact is going to stall them out a little bit more. He has one gas canister remaining with about 30 seconds in the round. He sees some players. The Thermite has opened up into Freezer, but Intact could still hold things down here. He's going to gas out the last player, and Boar is going to tag onto PX. Bullet's going to get the refrag, though, and M King with another onto Duds means that Immortals are only in a 2v3, but they have to get through a smoke who will get gunned down, but there's still the Echo on the table to potentially deny their plants, as well as VNX on the Mozzie. He's going to spot out the planter, gun down M King. There's 2 seconds left. Ping's coming out. Not much Immortals can do, and INTZ is going to take another round. Immortals, to their credit, are looking better than Friday, but Immortals on Friday got 7-0'd. So it's not hard to look better than that. INTZ, though, playing an excellent game of just utility and time wasting. They really seem to have picked up on just how hesitant Immortals has been to just push anywhere on this new map. And INTZ has just been capitalizing on that time after time. They have so much intel available, and as a result, they just utilize it, stall out times, and go for those peaks and those gunfights when they know they have the advantage, and they've been winning them. The one round they've lost has really come down to just a couple of shots missing here and there, as Drunks on the Dock stalled out time for so long just by making his presence known and having a bulletproof camera. One operator stalled the entire push from Immortals, which speaks to the strength of Drunks, of course, but also really speaks to just how hesitant Immortals has been. They're going to drop Cyber on the Ying, which it's hard to know whether that's a good call or not, because Cyber didn't do anything the previous round. He started rappelling up, and the Jaeger jumped out and gunned him. In fact, maybe he got gunned because they were afraid of that Blackbeard because they knew about his position, or maybe they just had the intel. They went for that run out. It's either way, Immortals has looked so hesitant, just not putting their foot on the gas ever, and they're not going to ever push in or win rounds. But this round looks to be very different, as you have a lot of players clustered up into that kitchen service area. PX will get the first kill of the round, and it looks like Immortals are going to have a very one-dimensional approach. The intel is there for the side of INTZ, as I think a bulletproof camera was set up, and Intact's just going to go for the gunfight. He's not going to get anything, but Boar will get one for his troubles. Does will get M King, but PX will land his second kill of the round onto Boar. And this very one-sided push is turning into a one-sided slaughter to a degree, as looks like Intact will shut down what seemed to be shaping up to be something for Immortals, and it's now a 2v3. Both players of Immortals are known to the remaining members of INTZ. They have a lot of intel available, and they're really funneled and trapped. Diffuser has been dropped. PX can't just comfortably push into it. They do have gridlock, so they can't get swung on again like Intact did, but is that going to be enough? PX is going to land one onto Dud, so it's now a 2v2, putting them in a winnable situation, and for once, they actually have time on their side. But both VNX and Intact are both alive, and we've seen how much damage VNX in particular can do if he's left alive. Those gridlocks will slow him down, as well as his own barricade, so he's not going to be able to go for a flank, much to PX's delight. But his drone's going to be taken out for his troubles, and both members of INTZ are just on the diffuser. bolt coming out from the Capital will cut off INTZ's line of sight. He does not have a C4 that can try throwing into it, but VNX will land one headshot and INTZ will land another into Cyber, and the one-sided push proving to just be that, one-sided and shut down, as the remaining members of Immortals just had to funnel in like the rest of their team did. A very bold, aggressive push, and it isn't one that typically works out, as even though PX was able to get some nice picks in the process, the rest of his team kept dying because, well, Intact, for instance, could just run out there, spray into a hail of bodies, not really caring what he sees or who he sees, light up a bunch of players, and then it's an easy kill for his remaining teammates. A questionable decision from Immortals, much of this map has been so far, but I guess they just wanted to get out of their fear of pushing, because at least the one thing you can say is they didn't have the same struggles as their previous attacks, where they were just very, very slow. But INTZ were not going to be caught unawares by that push, because, again, INTZ has been doing an excellent job of just always having intel. They know where Immortals is likely to funnel through, and they constantly have either bulletproof cameras or drones or possible black eyes set up to watch for those pushes. And they're not really dropping their intel game this round either, and that's going to spell disaster for Immortals if things continue the way they have been. The Echo is gone. Instead, we're going to have an alibi being brought out for the first time for INTZ. But even the alibi can be our own form of intel, as they've been doing a pretty good job of reading where Immortals likes to push from, so well-placed decoys will mean that Immortals will at the very least give away their position by destroying the decoy when they have to push through that area. We are once again seeing INTZ just expand to just maintain as much control as they can going up to the top floor, which Immortals has shown themselves to be very, very sluggish about clearing. Cyber will get his troubles rewarded by an alibi decoy, and now his position on these windows is known, and he was the one that was previously gunned down by a jump out. But it doesn't look like any such jump out is coming, at least not yet. Does, though, will spot out the head of Cyber and gun down the Capitao, who just misses his shots on the Legion, despite having the drop on him in the initial engagement. It didn't look like he expected the Legion to be in that spot, which once again points to Immortals also struggling for intel. These pests possibly having more of an impact than we're seeing in just slowing down the drone work. Boar is going to spot out PX, so that is another player that is known to INTZ, and they've shown themselves very capable of capitalizing on that information, but not so for Boar, as he does get shot, I think, through the wall by the IQ. It's a good play there from PX, trying to keep his team in this and walk away from this half with an even split. Navi's does have control now of Piano. He's going to shoot open the hatch with that pocket shotgun. As Immortals, not as sluggish as they've been on their previous takes, having that top floor control much sooner than their previous attempt to attack this site. But even now, they don't have it that well, as there are still 3 players of INTZ upstairs trying to contest them from the eastern side. They have the cigar control, and they can push a fireplace side, and that looks to be the call made for Navi, who's going to spot out INTZ's player of duds. But he's still going to stall out now on the fireplace side. Drunks is going to tag one onto Bullet, and that's going to be your buck down. A lot of your vertical pressure is going to be completely gone, as Drunks is now working his way towards these other players in Cigar that he knows about. He spots out the head of the IQ, but is unable to connect the shot, as PX will take him down. Duds playing from the white stairs to contest the push from Navi's into Fireplace, and he's going to call Intact in to support him, as you see the gas canister coming out, and VNX landing a shot from not even sure where to gun down the player of Immortals and give his team the lead. But Navis will return onto Intact, as he now goes for the plant himself. It's going to be a 2v2, likely post-plant situation. Duds does know the plant's going down, but he's unable to find the shot, and he'll be gunned down for his trouble, putting VNX in a 1v2 situation, and Immortals looking to get their second round of the match. Navis will spot out the Mozzie, but will get gunned down, unable to hit the head of the Australian motorcycle rider. And it's going to be up to PX, who's there with the shot, and that's going to be Immortals getting their second round. So Immortals are now in a position where they can walk away from this half with a 3-3 split, which I'm sure they'd be very happy to do so, and try and win this on their attacks, showing a better side of themselves than they showed in Pro League. A bit of a questionable decision there, though, from Navi's to give up the angle when he has a 60 bullet magazine compared to the Mozzie's 20 bullet. Either way, PX was there to save the round, but we're going to have to see if Immortals can continue stringing these back, or if INTZ are going to walk away with a 4-2 split. Thankfully for Immortals, after this round, regardless of how sluggish their attacks may have been, they don't have to attack anymore. They don't have to have sluggish attacks anymore. They can just play the defensive game and hope INTZ falls into the same traps they did. I believe in their match against INTZ, Immortals started on the attack as well against INTZ there when they got 7-0'd. So, if my memory serves me correctly, we haven't really seen what Immortals can do in their defenses. And maybe they have something up their sleeves, and that first round was just a fluke, or INTZ making a good read, or just INTZ being ready for that attack. But regardless, we'll have to see. It looks like PX, though, is going to be the one dragging the body of Immortals through this match right now, as we saw him have 10 kills, and the next highest on his team were 3. PX really gunning for that playoffs position. And he's the sole reason, really, his team has stayed in there. There's been a number of rounds where it's come down to just PX winning things out. Even that last round was a 1v1 clutch from PX, and both players were at very, very similar health. He loses that gunfight. INTZ is sitting at 4-1 instead of 3-2. Cyber, once again, on this window repel where he's been gunned down many times, but it won't be him. It'll be Duds getting bullet. Once again, another jump out from the Jaeger and another success, and that's going to be our buck gone. Immortals just looking off to a slow start, and one of the reasons I brought up PX getting so many kills is that there's a lot of other players on Immortals that you really expect to be contributing, especially Navi's, who's just not shown his ability to string together kills and be a difference maker like he so often is for this roster. His matches in Milan, for instance, Navi's was the one fighting back against EG and really being the definitive threat at Milan. Now, Immortals did lose that game, but Navi's had a fantastic rating, just playing through the Twitch and gunning through. And this brings me back to a point I brought earlier about Gridlock being used by a lot of these entry fraggers types, but not having the speed for it. And while some players like Uno have made her work for sure, I do question if that is the smart decision when you have a player like Navi's who has shown himself so adept on just put him on a Twitch or put him on an Ashe and he can gun through the opposition. Not something that he can really have the opportunity to do with Gridlock. Immortals, though, stalling out once again thanks to losing this man. We see a lot of members just on rappel outside the building. It doesn't even look like they've gotten control of piano or really anything on the top floor. I'm curious how many members are even inside, as we see both Cyber and M King outside, both of them losing their drones at this point. And Navi's is going to be actually into the freezer. So there we go. We see him gun through 2 opponents, but he's going to get shot in the back of the head by VNX for his troubles. Drunks will get flamed a bit, but Immortals bringing this to a 3v3 means they still have a chance. Capitao is going to deny a lot of the positions that the defenders can play currently, and PX is going to start pushing his way into the site, his Claymore taking down Duds, meaning that Immortals has the advantage. M King getting another onto Drunks, and PX following up with one onto VNX, and what looked to be an all INTZ round will just explosively fall apart, due in large part to the well-placed smoke push from Navi's, making me eat my words on his ability to just gun through the opposition and push into the site. He did the same thing that he's done so often, but this time he did it with Gridlock. And I'd say he needs to start doing that consistently if they want to have a hope of taking more attack rounds, but that is the final attack round. Meaning that it's now going to come down to how good are Immortals' defenses. They walked away with this with an even split. That is a position that they can definitely win from, as we haven't gotten to see their attacks really whatsoever, their defenses whatsoever on Cafe. The question is if INTZ is going to prove to be just as proficient on Cafe attacks as they have on their defenses when it comes to Immortals. Both these teams, despite that 7-0, INTZ only got to attack once and they won it. They're going to have to show this time, can they string together more than one? One thing, though, that doesn't bode well for Immortals is that the back and forth nature so far of this matchup means that Immortals could barrel towards a draw, and a draw will once again knock them out of the playoffs positions. And draws have been the bane of Immortals' existence for quite some time, but particularly Season 9, where the sheer number of draws meant that with only one loss, they still could have fallen out of Pro League. Out of the Milan finals. They were very safe from auto relegation. Sorry for misspeaking. Regardless, INTZ running the Jackal to really hinder Immortals' ability to move around the map. They're going to exercise that sort of full map control freeform approach that we saw INTZ using so effectively against them. Actually, it looks to be less so of that case, as it seems most numbers are still just posted up top, but with Cyber off on a mission by himself down below, and definitely a player that can pull off that role. Leaving Cyber up and alive and able to get those late flanks can be detrimental to INTZ, and it doesn't look like they're really committing much to clear him out from below. However, because Cyber's off on his own, should he get isolated, there's not going to be anyone there to get the refrag. Intact taking control of the piano, but he's not going to ingress too far as he's worried about a player playing from the door. Jackal pings will also give away some of the defensive positions, but on the eastern balcony, where I don't believe that the player of Immortals has been pinged out is too fussed about the situation, as INTZ still has to push all the way through the site to take care of him. Intact knows there is a player inside of the freezer. That's going to be, I believe, Navi's on the Qaid. And INTZ really having that sluggish approach that we saw from Immortals as well. We do, though, have Drunks working his way in from the Cigar side, and Tuds gets a free kill onto Navi's, but he's going to take a lot of damage for his trouble, missing those first few shots, being brought down to about 20 health. That is going to be your Qaid off the board, though, and one of the C4s gone for Immortals on this plant denial, but they still have plenty in the form of the Echo, the Smoke, as well as the Mute, as the final 48 seconds tick down. Firebolt coming out from the Capitao is going to lock M King back, but he's still able to throw out his gas canisters. But Plant is going down from Boar, and it doesn't look like INTZ is ready. He has the pings, but no C4 coming out. Plant's going to go down, and the C4 will not actually connect with anything. I believe the player got shut down by M King anyway, but Immortals are not going to have to fight into a post-plant situation against 4 members of INTZ. Intacts and Duds, though, are very low on health, and Cyber is able to gun down VNX, making it a 3v3 health advantage on the side of Immortals, but they do not have time, as the Capitao and the Ash are both going to just play from the skylight. Boar going to try and waste as much time as possible down below, but he's not going to get much for his trouble, as Cyber is there to gun him down. Cyber showing just how powerful he can be when left unchecked, as the defuse is happening, and Cyber's going to gun down another, and another for Cyber. And Immortals will walk away with that kill. And somehow fighting through that post-plant situation despite the skylight being on the side of INTZ. Impressive shooting here from Cyber, who's just able to string together kill after kill to give his team the round. And I talked about it at the beginning. Cyber left unchecked and just being allowed to roam around the map can prove detrimental, and he did so. And Immortals taking the lead for the first time in this match. We're going to see a bakery defense coming out from Immortals now as they're going to go downstairs for their secondary site. INTZ, though, I missed this in their pick phase. Running an operator we don't see in Pro League really ever. And that's going to be the Fuse. And there's a lot of verticality that can be used, especially against the site with a Fuse, should they be able to get that second floor control. But Fuse is very loud and could quite easily be either nitrocelled, and he's also very slow, both in his speed and also the deployment of his gadgets. So if they're not careful, defenders such as Cyber or Navi's could retake second floor and shoot him while he's trying to put down his gadget. No shield Fuse either, so they're not going to be trying to go for the approach that we've seen a handful of European teams try when they force the Fuse into their lineup. Instead, he's going to be running the AK-12, which is actually the statistically best gun on attack when it comes to its DPS and TTK values. Granted, we don't see it quite often because, again, Fuse is such an off-meta pick and is very, very slow. But Gridlock has started coming to the meta despite also being just as slow. And Fuse brings a lot of utility in the form of his smokes and light. But Cyber is just going to gun down Ash and Capitao. That's going to be two players of INTZ off the board. Cyber playing inside of this bakery counter and just making it his home. And INTZ likely not going to be able to get the map control they need now to make Trunks work from above. Cyber, while he may not have been doing much in the attacks, has definitely shown his worth on the defensive set. Trunks is aware of the position of a player, but she will rotate away, and the Valkyrie won't be gunned from red. A little bit of a cat and mouse game here between Trunks and Navi's as both operators continue to check that window, but just at unfortunate times. But PX will be the one to win out that engagement with a shot onto Trunks. Navi's will follow up with another onto VNX, and Boar is going to find himself in a 1v5 sitting outside of the bakery door. Plenty of players running out on him, and it's going to be PX to collect the final kill of the round, and Immortals are going to go flawless on their second attack. That's going to put Immortals up 5-3. So no 7-0 at all coming out from INTZ, but now it's looking like their chances of winning Cafe are slipping too, as they're going to take for a tactical timeout to really discuss their options and see what they can make work. That pocket strat of bringing out the Fuse was shut down before he could even enter the building, which really came down to, I think, in part, Cyber just getting 2 picks from that bakery door. He was able to gun down the Ash and the Capitao. At that point, there was not the man advantage available on the side of INTZ to get that second floor control to make that Fuse be effective. And we saw the Fuse try and solo entry, try and get that top control by himself, and he just couldn't get through the windows. And that's where he got gunned by PX. So we'll see if INTZ has anything different, if they're going to try and work that Fuse into their lineup again, or if they're going to go for a more traditional approach, and how they're planning on getting that map control early on. The Cav getting teased by the side of Immortals, as they're going to be going to the second floor now, and I believe it's going to be mining and dining. But I might be wrong because I don't speak Portuguese. And the Cav is just going to be a tease as Navis will swap onto the Mozzie. And we're going to see that intel once again really showing for the defense. Immortals, much like INTZ did on their attacks, and I was wrong, it is in fact Reading Room and Fireplace. But the intel, like I said, for Immortals is going to be very important in stalling out INTZ. Both these teams look very uncomfortable attacking a lot of these sites, and that 3-3 split might prove to be the detriment of INTZ here, as both teams just constantly seem starved for intel, and the defense has plenty of it in spades. And we have right now with Immortals the Mozzie, the Echo, and the Legion PX, though, 14 kills. He has been a large part of his team's success, especially on those attacking rounds. Really keeping his team in this and avoiding that 7-0. And now that Cyber has also come alive, Immortals are looking in a much better position to win this match than they were in those first few rounds, where it really seemed like all of the team, except for PX, was struggling, not winning gunfights, and just falling asleep at the wheel. Not so anymore, as Cyber's going to spot out the head of one player, but not connect any shots. But he will shoot out the drone, once again denying even more intel to INTZ. We've seen a lot of teams on this map, and in particular in this match, try and get those drones through the window and get that intel they want so they can actually execute. And every single time, those drones have been shot out. And that's not going to change this time for the side of INTZ, and that's probably a large part about why these attacks have been so sluggish. Drunks is just going to repel in, unafraid of the bullet holes or the peek holes made by Immortals, and Piano Control will be acquired, but the Legion Mine will give away his location if it wasn't already clear that Piano Control is in the attack's favor. So swifter approach this time around from INTZ despite losing those drones early on. Another drone coming out from Drunks, and he's going to spot out the player inside of Freezer. It looked like he did see a goo mine onto the door, so he's unlikely to get caught out there, as Duds is going to start trying to clear from the backside and get the white stairs cleared. He's going to hit a goo mine, and that's going to give away his position in front of the bullet holes, but the freezer wall being opened up means that Duds could get an explosive start to this round, as INTZ is showing a lot of map control fairly early on, in huge contrast to a lot of Immortals' attacks, and this is looking very good for them. Duds is given away, though, and gunned down by PX, and a lot of that map control just vanished thanks to him being taken out. PX is also spotted out, and he's going to be gunned down by... Intact is going to be gunning down, and PX will finally be shut down by VNX, and it's going to be a 3v3. As VNX still tries to fight his way into the freezer, and at this point, this top hold, though, from Immortals is working out quite well just on time wasting. Cyber is still up here, and INTZ has 20 seconds to push in, and that's not going to be made any easier as Navi's picks up 2 for his trouble. Drunks will get the refrag, but it's a 1v2. 15 seconds left for the Zofia. Cyber is off up top, meaning that if Drunks can get this kill onto the smoke, he could still potentially win out this round, but the smoke is on the other side, and Drunks just going to walk into Fireplace alone. He's likely going to be gunned down as he has to stick the plant, and he comes off of it to save the KD, but Immortals are going to put themselves at match point, meaning they're still in playoff contention. Reminder, they have to win this map and then win the second one to actually remain in playoff contention, but there's no fear right now of a loss on this map, which I'm sure makes them quite happy. Beautiful shots there from Navi's to just pick up 2 kills, especially that one onto the Thermite. Landing that headshot before he got gunned down by Drunks and giving his team match point. We're going to see Drunks now get onto the IQ, realizing that the sheer amount of intel available to the defense has just been getting out of hand, and hopefully being able to shoot out some of those goo mines or the echo drones, both of which we've seen have a lot of impact in this round, will be the solution for INTZ. Keep in mind that while INTZ doesn't have to win this match in order to stay in the playoff running, it would help, as I've mentioned many times before. A huge secondary bonus to that I haven't mentioned is the fact that INTZ stopping Immortals from getting into the run means that's one less team they have to worry about tying with at the end of the season. And that is something that can't be understated in terms of value for INTZ. It means that they only have to worry about either Black Dragons or Ninjas in Pajamas slipping up in order to get themselves into playoffs. Whereas if Immortals wins this match, then they also have to worry about Immortals. And the more teams you have to worry about, the more the odds are going to be against you, especially when your destiny isn't in your own hands. We see the LMG being run by drunks once again. We've seen them use this quite a few times, and it sort of pops in and out of the meta for IQ. While most teams will use the AUG or the Commando, and in particular the Commando sees the most play, a lot of teams do try and push the LMG into the meta, and I think it's started to have more of an impact because of people seeing just how valuable that extra large magazine can be on operators like Capitao, despite the trade-off of ADS time. And Duds will get the first kill onto Navi's, and that's going to be your Bandit gone. It's also worth noting that IQ's LMG has the best fire rate. Intact unable to land the shots though on the Yokai means that PX will be able to scamper away and keep that extremely powerful utility alive for his team. I'm sure Intact is a little disappointed in himself for missing those shots, but not much that he can do at this point. Piano control is still in the favor of INTZ. We're not seeing Immortals try and aggressively retake it like we've seen a couple of teams do, and we've seen Immortals try a couple of times. And Duds just coming up from white stairs to go for a bit of a crossfire with his teammates in Piano and pin down the remaining members of Immortals. It does seem there's another player, though, at top of white, but is he aware of Duds' position? It doesn't look like he is. He's looking the other way, and Duds hears the player move around, but he doesn't look in the right direction, and Cyber wins out that gunfight. Duds being a little bit too hesitant about his approach, and the Jaeger will hear him when he stands up for just that brief second. Bullet will now be tasked with holding white stairs as Cyber will rotate over towards the red stairs, checking for claymores, making sure he doesn't get caught unawares. And it's going to be a 4v4 now, but Boar will make me eat my words as he picks up 2 huge kills in Tide of the Sight. Cyber will get the refrag onto VNX before being downed himself. So no more heroics from the Jaeger unless the Legion is able to get all the way over to his position and pick him up, but that seems unlikely as he's isolated on white stairs. He does seem to have some intel on where these plants are going down. He's going to try and go for the wall bang, unable to connect the shots as Intact will end the final kill onto the Legion, and INTZ showing that they're not out of this yet, despite the 3 rounds in a row from Immortals. Duds just missing out on the chance to kill Cyber there, but ultimately it didn't matter as Boar was there to shut him down, and looks like that was a pre-fire through the... I believe that was a call or a pre-fire straight through the bookshelf. So I think he got wall banged, which, if so, a very impressive shot from Boar. And good communication to give him that information, or just the pure game sense to pull off that shot. We're going to see Immortals go back down to their bakery defense now, as they still have 2 more rounds to try and close this out. We're going to see the Echo get dropped from the side of Immortals. They're still going to have a lot of intel available thanks to their Valk cams, as well as those Legion goo mines. But PX is going to get onto the castle, which is likely to enable him to be allowed to roam around the map and take advantage of the fact that he's very, very on target today. As he has been hitting his shots, and he has been a large part of this team's success. He's cooled down a bit on the defensive half, but not by a lot. He's still 16 kills, and I believe he finished the attacking half at 10 kills. So, and 10 kills is an insane amount to have halfway through the match. Cyber has been a large part of why PX hasn't had to get so many kills either, as the Jaeger has been doing a fantastic job of shutting down the members of INTZ. But is the lack of the Echo and the lack of the intel he brings going to be worth it for Immortals, despite getting PX a bit more freed up to do his thing? Granted, the IQ on the board does mean that a lot of the cameras and goo mines set up will also be shot out, as the Valkyrie of Navi's will actually take a little bit of damage early on. I'm not entirely sure where that engagement occurred. As Drunk starts to drone out, he does spot out one player over on the eastern side in that guest room of sorts. I believe it's called VIP or that's not the VIP room. He is now in Harry Potter though, but M King is going to get the first kill of the round onto VNX. Immortals looking to close things out here, as a lot of members of INTZ are very hurt, but so are 3 members of Immortals. PX just holding in from Harry Potter. He's going to land the shots onto Drunks. That's going to be a 5-on-3 for Immortals. Cyber just living behind the back of Bakery, but Navi's will be the first casualty for the side of Immortals as Boar lands another shot. The fragmite just popping off right now. Cyber being tasked with holding on to that Bakery counter once again. And we'll see if he can have the same success he had on the first time they went to this lower site in terms of picking off 2 players just from playing behind there. Duds might be aware of the position of this player on the other side of the window, and it seems he is, but the player's going to jump out of the window and get gunned down for his trouble, and that's going to be PX on the castle down. Not a lot of utility lost for Immortals, but the man advantage is gone. And as I say that, Bullet says no and will shut down Boar, leaving it all up to Duds and Intact to try and salvage this map. And it's going to be all up to Duds on the Ash. He's going to have to get 3 kills. He won't even get 1 for his trouble. Bullet's there to shut him down. And Immortals will take map number 1, returning the favor of their cafe embarrassment in Pro League, being 7-0'd by getting a 7-4 victory over INTZ. That means Immortals are still now in the running for playoffs. That's a huge victory for this team. That is the first of 3 more maps that they need in order to confirm themselves a chance for the playoffs, depending on how the matches for Black Dragons and Ninjas in Pajamas shake down. As well as INTZ's own matches, as again, we could have a 4-way tie at 17 points. But that's still an entire map away before we can get into speculations on next Playday. As we now get to go to INTZ's map pick. Immortals showing that despite being 7-0, it looks like Cafe was the right map pick for them because they won it this time. It was a hard-fought victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. I believe the next map is Coastline, which will be the final map of the night between these 2 teams. And Coastline is a map that Immortals has shown themselves to be fairly proficient on. Having gone up against teams like EG and done fairly well on. I believe they even did. They did not win that match, but it was a close-fought contest that went to overtime. So, and that's against a team like EG, nonetheless. As well as I believe they faced Empire on Coastline and had a strong performance there. So it is a map that historically bodes all right for Immortals. I'm not as familiar with how INTZ, though, has looked on Coastline in the past. But as I say that, I check from their round 12 matches, the previous playdate, and Black Dragons defeated them on Coastline with a score of 7-4. So they'll have to show something a little bit different there if they want to walk away with at least 1 point. Well, a max of 1 point from this match. I believe we'll be getting into the pick and ban and the ban phase very, very shortly now. INTZ likely a little disappointed they couldn't repeat their 7-0 performance on Cafe once again. And also disappointed about the fact that when they had the opportunity, put Immortals behind and give themselves 3 points to walk into the final play day with 17 points like Nip and Black Dragons. They've lost that opportunity now, which means that they can't be tied going in with the two teams above them on the final play day, and now they have to rely on Nip and Black Dragons both messing up, which again is very plausible. It's not the worst gamble to take if you're either one of these teams, because both of these teams do have easier matchups. Nip and Black Dragons are the two teams that have to face Liquid and FaZe in the next week's matches. However, there's one thing to note, that from a psychological standpoint, both these teams will know if they have a shot of qualifying for playoffs when their match day comes around, because Nip and Black Dragons both play in the week before them. As we get into the ban phase, though, INTZ are going to start off by banning the IQ. This is likely trying to force a Valk ban, or they're going to play a lot of Valk themselves and go for those aggressive runouts, as Coastline is a map where you can throw those Valkyrie cameras just about everywhere outside, and without an IQ to spot them, it's going to be very, very difficult for the defense to get, or for the attack, sorry, to get anything going. Buck ban from Immortals, though. So I wonder if they're hoping that Mira stays on the table, because Buck is the operator that really makes that penthouse defense so difficult on Coastline, because he can open up everything down below and particularly deny Mira setups and just, well, they're actually going to ban Mira themselves. So they just don't want to deal with that Buck play from below on both Hookah and Pent if they choose to go Pent, but it doesn't look like they're going to be just focusing for a Pent attack. INTZ, though, are going to ban Echo, so the Valkyrie is going to be on the table now, and that means that the lack of the IQ to spot out those cameras could make for a very, very aggressive defense. The attack does still have some tools to try and mitigate that with the Nomad or potentially the Lion. And as I say, the Nomad, Cyber will take up that mantle immediately, realizing that without the IQ on the board, they need to be able to stop these runouts. We're also going to be seeing Pulse brought out from INTZ, and as I say that, they'll swap onto the Mute. So I take back my words, but PX 6 picking over to the Jackal. Coastline is probably the only map in the competitive pool right now where you don't really need that hard breach. The site where he's most effective is Penthouse, but Penthouse is so rarely played, and even though the hard breach is the most effective on Penthouse, you don't really need her there either. So the combination of the Jackal and the Nomad to both find the roamers and also prevent them from being able to be as aggressive as I'm sure INTZ wants to be could prove to be a good answer to this IQ ban for Immortals. Nevertheless, they do have Navi's now finally back on the Twitch, a role we've seen him be so proficient on. He didn't really shine too much on that previous match on Cafe, but he showed up when it mattered, and that's why Immortals walked away with that victory. His push into Freezer really forcing INTZ back when it looked like they had a lot of momentum and advantage. And he's just going to be more effective with that now that he has the FAMAS in his hands. In addition, losing the IQ means that they're going to need more forms of gadget removal, and a Twitch drone can work wonderfully for that, especially because they're not running the Thatcher. Those evil eyes of Maestro in particular are likely to be the primary target, but we could also see him just go for ADSs or cameras. Immortals, though, going with a bit more of a hesitant approach right now, as they won't even push into the VIP theater presence that INTZ is taking full advantage of. Immortals knows they have to clear out this half of the map before they can go for their hookah side take, and INTZ is just trying to waste as much time as possible and maybe get a few picks via this theater hold. Immortals is positioned down below, and we have Cyber on flank watch duty right now to try and cut off any players that rotate away from the theater side, but it doesn't look like anyone of INTZ wants to give this up. They are afraid of the luggage side push, which is where we see Navi's and I believe M King currently set up. And it's going to be VNX trying to get aggressive onto the luggage window. He won't find anything for his troubles. And Immortals finally going for what looks to be their execute. A Cyber will execute two players of his own. That's VNX and Duds, the two players that were off on the other side of the map. But Intact and Drunks are there to confirm kills of their own. And it's still going to be a 3v3. Twitch and Nomad gone for the attack. Jaeger and Valkyrie gone for the defense. Depending on how many of those air jabs were set up, it's a pretty fair trade. They've lost the power of the Nitrocell in the Valkyrie's hands and the raw fragging power of the Jaeger, but it's a very similar story with losing the Twitch and the Nomad. So it's going to come down to the site execute now, but Immortals only has 30 seconds to do so. Smoke grenades and frag grenades are going to come flying out, but unable to connect with anything. And Immortals are going to have to make something happen in the next few seconds as they go for this execute. The remaining defenders set up in good positions to deny this plant, and Intact's going to try and swing. He knows the plant's going down, but he's not actually going to stop it. And the plant will get down successfully. No, the player getting gunned down at the last second. And Immortals will win out the first, or INTZ, sorry, will win the first round of their defense. A last second denial of that plant by the Maestro, gunning down the player behind the bomb. And it looked like it was going to get placed down, at which point, who knows how the rest of the round goes down, as we saw M King there on a good flank coming in from behind. He picked up one kill and then time ran out on him. But it's likely he could have gotten the second kill there if he had a post-plant situation to work with. Nevertheless, Immortals will be on the back foot once again as they go into the next round of their attack. INTZ electing to go for the kitchen side defense. We see the Mozzie return to play, and Latin America in particular, we've seen a lot of Mozzie play out of. Both Latin America and NA seem to be favoring Mozzie a lot, whereas EU has really been more focused on the gridlock side of things, which I think has a lot to do with the respective playstyles of the regions. Because of how slow gridlock is, despite bringing a lot of utility, she's not favored by as many teams on the more faster-paced NA and Latin America regions, whereas Mozzie fits in quite well with that playstyle. Immortals, though, not going to be going for really any lineup changes of their own. Feeling that despite losing that previous round, they had the tools that they wanted for the execute, and they're not going to deviate from the course too much. That's probably a wise decision, as that looked like it was going to be a Mortals round through and through when Cyber picked up those 2 kills on the roamers off on the theater side. But he was shortly after killed himself, and Navi's was taken down, and it stayed a 3v3, with the control they had forfeited in just an instant. Cyber, just playing on the window, will be in a bit of a standoff with VNX on the Legion. Both players are aware of one another's positions, but neither one is going to get to Yahtzee right now, as VNX knows he can just hold on for now. And instead he's going to fall off completely after being droned out, and he's going to get gunned by Bullet. It looks like he took a couple shots from Cyber through the wall, and Bullet just, I'm not entirely sure where he was to connect that kill, but an excellent shot from him. He's going to throw out a frag grenade to take out one of the Meister cams, but the Meister himself is going to get the kill onto Cyber. So any air jabs still in the Nomad's pockets will remain there for the rest of the round, as the Meister has just been unleashed to roam about the rest of the map. Bullet has the control of hookah side that he wanted, but they still have to go for this kitchen side execute. Drunks playing inside of Lobby and Lamborghini, a position we've seen quite a few Maestros take up in the past to great effect. Particularly NVK just making that Lamborghini doorway his home. Duds, though, has that ADS set up, so it looks like that Maestro cam might actually still be there because of that ADS, in which case good placement of the ADS by the side of INTZ, and he's burned out the second of Sledge's frag grenades as well. Drunks has taken a lot of damage for his trouble, but he is still alive, and it is a 4v4 going into the final 40 seconds of the round. Immortals were unable to get the map control they really wanted, as a lot of these roamers are still up, and they're now forced to execute onto the site. Gas canister, the first one coming out from the smoke at the 30-second mark, so good call on his part. But Bullet will get a kill onto Duds. It's going to be the Jaeger down. That's going to be your last flanker, and Roamer gone for INTZ. But Intact will get the kill onto M King jumping in from the piano window before being gunned down himself by Navi's. It's going to be a 3v2. Navi's with a second kill, though, showing why he's so feared on this Twitch, as Plant is going down in the final 4 seconds. If Drunks can find this kill, though, he can win this round and clutch it out. Not to be the case, though. Navi's is there, ready for him. And Immortals will get their first kill of the first round of map number 2. So, while a sloppy start from Immortals there in terms of just not having a lot of map control and actually giving away some early picks that they really shouldn't have, ultimately, Navi's was able to just find his opening into sight, push his way through, and win out the round for his team. Very reminiscent of their play at Milan. A lot of those attacking rounds that Immortals were able to take came on Navi's pushing through. And PX will be the one to take up the mantle of Gridlock on Coastline. And we'll see if he has more success than Navi's did on Cafe, as Navi's will get to stick on the Twitch that he's shown to be time and time again deadly on. INTZ aren't going to be giving up on this kitchen hole just quite yet, reattempting it, feeling that they did a good job of, I guess, stalling things out, and it really just came down to an execute and getting gunned by a single player. Should they be able to tighten things up a little bit, or shut down Navi's long before he can do anything? I'm sure they're confident that they can still win on kitchen. Or maybe they just don't want to gamble on the tertiary site. That could also be another reason for INTZ repeating the site. But either way, they'll hope to make the adaptations necessary to beat Immortals. And part of that is that they're going to be dropping the Maestro this time around. Trunks is going to be on the mantle of the Legion now. So still intel available for INTZ, but not in the form of cameras. Instead, they're just going to have the initial pricks of the goo mines to know where players are coming from. The Valkyrie and the Mozzie, though, are going to make up for that lack of intel that a Maestro would have otherwise provided. And Immortals looks to be actually gearing up for just an aggressive service door possible rush push here, as M King is just prepped with Sophia's lifeline. Drones are going out. And I think they made the read that INTZ likes to spread out their roamers. Why not just hit the site? But it doesn't look to be as spread this time around from INTZ. And for whatever reason, my own stream is stopped. I'm not sure if this is on my end or on theirs. And we're back. So, what did we miss? Well, it looks like 2 members of Immortals, and okay, so we did seem to have that aggressive push. I'll go see if the Twitch is run. Well, oh, and the plant went down, and they're trying to stop the plant, but I will try and get into Twitch and see if it's working any better. All right, we will abandon YouTube and we will go to Twitch. Sorry about that we missed the action of that round, but I believe Immortals took that away. With that aggressive push that I was talking about, it didn't look like INTZ had really an answer for it. PX playing excellently on this door and just shutting down all attempts to try and defuse. So, a good read from Immortals to just know that they can get in through that service door and execute onto the site. INTZ aren't going to gamble with the kitchen anymore, and so they're going to go up to Penthouse, which, like I said at the beginning of the match, isn't a site that sees a lot of play now, but that buck ban is going to help out on this site a lot. The verticality that you could otherwise exert to deny common positions on Penthouse is gone thanks to the buck not being on the table. They've also noticed that Immortals don't run a hard breach on Coastline like most teams, so they don't have to worry about a push from VIP side. For Immortals, really the only vertical soft destruction they might have are either Zofia lifelines or using that pocket shot at the gridlock, which is more likely to get the gridlock killed than really do much damage whatsoever. But we might see the Zofia fire up a couple impacts from below to try and deny common anchor positions. Immortals, though, will drone out VNX, but a ping from the drone is going to alert VNX, and he's going to just fall off of that position. And that's going to give Immortals the control of Sunrise that they wanted. So it looks like that ping was just to deny the chance for ENX to even shoot back at people, forcing the Valkyrie away. Navi's, having a lot of control now on the first floor, is going to start pushing his way over to the Lamborghini door. Cyber opening up some holes through the wall. It looked like he might have been able to land a shot, but there's likely to be that there were 4 in the way that would have denied that either way. But it looks like Immortals are still going to be attempted to go for some level of verticality, even with the lack of a buck. PX pushing his way over to Sunrise to rejoin the rest of his team, and it looks to be a VIP side take for the members of Immortals, with Bullet pressuring from the window. Nomad charges being set up inside of security to deny that flank route for the attack, and a Claymore put underneath the hatch, hoping to catch unawares any rotating defenders. But it will be spotted out by Intact, who lands an easy shot onto the Claymore, and that surprise play will not have any fruit for Immortals. Navi's in a gunfight with a player at the top of the white stairs, and he's going to drone out to be better safe than sorry. That's going to be Duds, the Jaeger, up top, denying his avenue in, and Boar is going to deny Cyber outright by landing a shot with the SMG-11. That's going to be your Nomad gone. We did see that she put down some of her air jabs this time around, so utility is possibly still there for Immortals if they have placed all those air jabs. And VNX just waiting for Navi's approach. He's going to land the shot, but Navi's landing a kill onto Duds before VNX could get a headshot of his own. So that's going to keep Immortals still in the running in a 3v4, but they have only 20 seconds, and they now have to push into the site itself. And a lot of C4s and the Maestro cams are going to be awaiting them. They have 3 C4s between the Mozzie and, well, now they have 2 C4s as the Mozzie gets gunned down by Bullet, but only 7 seconds left to go. Gridlock's going to be committing for the plant. The C4 will get shot out of the air by Bullet, who will then follow up with one onto Boar. It's all up to VNX in a 1v3 situation. We've seen the man frag out during his time with the Red Devils, but can he get 3 kills and get to the diffuser on this flank? Unlikely, as Bullet's going to be holding the angle, and another player is going to be flanking up on him from the stairs. Bullet's going to fire away, and PX will confirm the kill onto VNX in the back. And that's going to be Immortals taking another round, looking a lot more proficient here on their coastline attacks than they did on Cafe. As we now go into the 5th round of the match, Immortals up 3-1. INTZ on a lot of these rounds have done a good job of slowing down Immortals and getting those early picks, but when it comes to the site hold itself, they just seem clueless for the onslaught that is the members of Immortals. On that round, it was Bullet gunning through everyone. On the previous kitchen round that we were able to see was Navi's. And they just don't seem to have an answer for these aggressive players getting into the site and shooting through their members. We saw the attempted C4 denial there, which would have been possibly game changing, but Bullet on land, not missing his shots there, and just shooting the C4 out of the air. But even if he didn't shoot that C4 out of the air, the player of INTZ who went for that toss, who I believe was Boar, but I'm not 100%, was very exposed at the doorway. It was likely that Bullet was going to get that kill on him either way. He now missed his shots a little bit and was able to adapt and get the nitro cell, but that's still a huge gamble to be taking. And it's odd considering INTZ definitely has the utility to not have to go for that sort of aggressive doorway C4 throw for denials. VNX, I think, missed a C4 from below. So even though they have the Maestro cams and the Black Eyes, their utility is being taken out even though the IQ isn't there, and they can't go for those denials. And Cyber, with a long shot from Ruins, is going to take down the smoke 30 seconds into the round. That is a huge pick for Immortals, and that's going to be a possibly devastating blow for INTZ, especially on this hookah site where the smoke is so intrinsic to denying the Aquarium push by clipping his gas through the wall. That early pick from Immortals might spell the end, but Boar doesn't want it to be over just quite yet as he takes down Cyber. So there is still life in INTZ, but they're going to have to be a lot more aggressive because they can't rely on the smoke stalling things out. And Bullet's going to shut down the aggression of VNX, and that's going to be your C4 down below, gone in the form of the Valkyrie. Drunk's trying to get aggressive on Aquarium, taking the position that the smoke would play otherwise, but without the tools that a smoke has to do so. Drunk's just checking through the drone to see if he can find any feet, but the player of Immortals on the other side is smart enough to know to not expose himself. As a frag grenade from below is getting prepped, it's going to detonate early even if it was going in the right direction, and it's not. So that's going to be both frag grenades gone for INTZ, but Boar has taken a lot of damage elsewhere. INTZ find themselves in a difficult position, but Duds will try and work his way out of it by getting the kill onto M-King. He does get down for his trouble, and Drunks is going to have to be the one to pick him up. Boar is extremely hurt, denying the Aquarium push by himself right now, as a Cool Vibes push comes out from the sledge while Plant is going down. But Duds gets the shot, but not in time to deny the plant. Diffuser will go down. Navi's will get one onto Duds as Bullet tries to land the shots onto the Mozzie, unable to do so. It's going to be a 2v2. Actually, sorry, Diffuser was not planted. The denial was successful from the side of INTZ and will look to be a disastrous round. Might still have some life in it, but both Boar and Drunks are extremely injured right now. A single shot from the FAMAS or the sledge could spell disasters, and the FAMAS is going to get the first shot onto Boar. It's all up to Drunks, who has just about no health, but neither do his opponents. And the C4 could deny. Is he going to detonate it? No, he will not detonate it, and it will not deny the plant. Diffuser will go down. Mozzie will be able to down Bullet. It's going to be a 1v1 between the Twitch and the Mozzie. Both players just about one bullet away from death. Who will land the first shot? As Diffuser is down and both players just dancing around, knowing where each other is, but unable to get the angle just quite yet. The Mozzie giving it away his position. It's a very, very tense 1v1 right now as the Mozzie comes around the corner, but Navis is there. I believe revolver in hand to shut down the player of on INTZ. And that is going to be Immortals going up 4-1. As they go to their final defensive attack. And a very, very strong rebound from the side of INTZ. They did a great job of adapting to the fact that they lost their smoke, taking some of those aggressive chances, and trying to make things work. But ultimately, they still lost the smoke, and they couldn't stall out any of the push. They were able to deny the plant once, and if that C4 had gone, I'm sure, where the Mozzie wanted it to, they could have denied the second plant, and this round could have gone INTZ's way, and they could have had a chance to pull it out 3-3. Instead, the best they can hope for is a 4-2 split, as they have now lost their defensive half. But there is still plenty of time to pull this back on the attack. And Coastline isn't a map that is always defender-sided. It can really swing back and forth, especially depending on the bans. The worry, though, is the fact that the IQ was taken off the board, and the fact that the buck is gone seems to be more of a hampering of the attack than it is for the defense. We lose two pretty staply removed operators. We get to keep the Valkyrie for their aggressive runouts despite the IQ, and especially because of the IQ ban. And they don't have to worry about nearly as much vertical pressure because the buck is gone. So INTZ are going to have to show that they have something worked out for their attacks if they want to deny Immortals the opportunity to make it to the playoffs and give themselves a better shot. PX is going to drone out the position of Boar on the Maestro. And it doesn't look like any free kills being given away to Cybrid this time around. So that is a good sign for INTZ compared to the previous round. But hopefully that's going to be all they need. It looks like we're actually going to see a hookah take coming out from Immortals, as they brought a Lion for this as well. The Lion is extremely hurt, but he's not dead yet. And he's going to spot out the player of Duds, who went prone and will be killed. M-King getting the first kill of the round thanks to his Lion scans. He doesn't have a lot of health, but there's no more goo mines to worry about, so he can't get taken down, as INTZ have not brought the Legion this time around. And it is going to be just a full side hookah take. The Twitch drone going for the Maestro cameras, I believe, and I think she might have gotten it. So that's going to be more utility gone for the side of INTZ. They did just capture a drone, so I'm sure the Mozzie is happy about that one. But they have a lot they have to fight their way through if they want to take this round. M-King is still very hurt, but Navis is going to attack one onto Bourne. That's your Maestro gone. Intact is having to try and hold this hookah push all by himself right now. And he is the operator for the job, but he's going to get gunned down for his troubles. Navi's getting another one. He will finally be shut down by VNX, but Cyber's there to get the refrag on VNX. It's all up to Drunks in a 1v4. And Lion Scan goes off. Drunks gets the first kill onto PX, but he has to go prone at the top of Cool Vibes. He doesn't have the magazine side to go for more. Cyber's going to get the final kill of the round. And Immortals going up 5-1 on their attacks on Coastline. 2 more rounds, and Immortals keeps themselves in the running for that playoff position, which I'm sure is going to make fans of Immortals very, very happy. Anxious still, but happy. Because as long as there's a chance, you never know what's going to happen. That Lion being brought out at the last second by the side of Immortals is going to kill my stream, apparently. Regardless, we now have a 5-1 and really just unanswered rounds from Immortals since the side swap on Cafe. And even before that side swap, because I believe that side swap, they went down 3-1 and then pulled it back to a 3-3 and then won that map. And INTZ has just not looked the same as the start of Cafe. Whether that's because Immortals getting a read on them, or whether that's because INTZ just not having the necessary number of strats for both Coastline and Cafe, which they played prior, is hard to judge right now. But a lot of those attacks of INTZ just look to be, or sorry, those defenses of INTZ there, they look to be very fragmented. They had a lot of players constantly set up in positions to slow down and deny Immortals' pushes. But those players would get either gunned down and not refragged, or the site players would be gunned down and those players would be put into a retake scenario. So INTZ they no longer have to worry about their attacks, which is good for them. But in their future attacks, they will have to start looking at getting their players in better position to go for those refracts so they don't have to rely on just winning every single gunfight flat out. Because that's going to be hard when you have opponents like Navi's on that Twitch that you're dealing with. INTZ, though, are going to go for a very roamer lockdown approach with a Lion and a Jackal, and M King's just going to be frustrated and walk away during the first Lion scan. I believe landing one shot onto Boar at range. Cyber is going to be the one being Jackal tracked, and there's drones all around his position, and he's getting Lion scanned. Everyone knows where he is. He might as well be a dead man walking unless he can pull off some heroic play on the Jaeger, which we've seen him do before. But the intel is all there for INTZ, and Boar is going to be the one that gets the first kill of the round. Cyber, though, does do a lot of damage to both Drunks and Boar in the process. So that does bode well for his team, but he didn't waste a lot of time either. As VNX is going to be the one set up below Hookah. So it looks like they're going to be relying on the Jackal as their Buck substitute. I believe INTZ was the team to ban out Buck, so they are ready. No, Immortals was the team, I believe, actually, to ban out Buck. So good adaptation there from INTZ if the Jackal is intended to be the Buck substitute. And we'll see if it works out quite the way they wanted. Instead, actually, VNX is just going to come upstairs. So it's not going to be lingering around below Hookah for too long. And what was an aggressive entry, thanks to the back of the Lion scans, has really slowed down from INTZ after getting this initial pick. The gridlock of Intact is going to start putting pressure from the Aquarium side, so we're going to be seeing a standard Aquarium push, but it looks like we're going to actually have a very, very heavy flank coming out from the side of INTZ, as Diffuser isn't with any of the players going on this Aquarium side take it. This could be a fake out to have a 3-man push from the VIP side. A huge gamble here from INTZ, but it could pay off. Drunks sitting on 1 health as he takes a bullet from Navis. The MPX not doing just enough damage there to finish off the already extremely hurt Twitch. But only 20 seconds left for INTZ, as they will now finally start to go for their push as the smokes will come out. It's going to go back to just a standard Aquarium take. Lion scan goes out. It's going to lock defenders in position as Bullet will get the first kill though for Immortals onto Duds. C4 comes out from Bullet, and that's going to pick up 2. And it's going to be up to Gridlock. She's going to get shotgunned by PX, who's just playing up close on the bomb. The Twitch will be able to down 1 player, but that's not enough. And Immortals put themselves on match point. INTZ losing out on their opportunity, I believe, to get any points from this match, but they can still deny Immortals the ability to make it to the playoffs, which, like I said before, is going to be important for INTZ because they are directly competing with Immortals for those remaining playoff spots. So these next 5 rounds are going to be extremely important to INTZ if they want to try and pull this to a draw and deny Immortals the opportunity in here. Immortals likely feeling very happy knowing that they only have to win 1 more round here and 2 more maps to still have a shot at making it into the playoffs for BR6. As we now go into round number 8. The first shot for Immortals to close things out. INTZ having a very, very aggressive attack with that Lion Jack combo, being able to pin down the defenders and just push them. And making the life of Cyber in particular on that Jaeger just awful. But ultimately, they couldn't translate that into an attack. They had no time to go for the push, and a single C4 took out 2 of their members who had all been hurt quite a bit, and with no time for the push, they couldn't bait the utility, they couldn't do anything. They just got stalled out at the aquarium. They looked to be lost on what they wanted to do. For a while, they were going for that aquarium side push. Then they had a 3-man flank going from VIP. Then they abandoned the 3-man flank, said, grab diffuser, go for the push from aquarium, but in that time, they had wasted it all. Dropping diffuser because they wanted to go for the 3-man flank probably wasn't the worst call, but abandoning both the 3-man flank and the Aquarium push, and then having to send Boar on the Refuser retrieval because you guys didn't want to commit to that. That's what cost INTZ that round. They made too many attempts on just changing up their approach, and it hurt them. The attackers do not have the luxury of constantly changing up their plan. They have to be able to do it to a degree, but you can't be hesitant. You have to commit to whatever your approach is and pull it off. Mid-round adaptations are great, but you can't be mid-round adapting every 5 seconds, or you're just going to run out of time. And Duds missing out on the shot for a free kill. M-King is going to land it instead. That's your Lion gone before he can use a single one of his scans. And considering how important that Lion was for INTZ's entire approach last round, that is not a good position to be in if you are INTZ or a fan of this team. M-King now just going to be holding down for the Cool Vibes take, as the members of Immortals are likely breathing a sigh of relief, no longer having to worry about being frozen in position by the oppressive force that is Lion. Drunks knows there is a player below him. He's trying to open up the floor a little bit to get that shot, but he can't quite find the angle just yet. He has plenty of pings on his side, and I'm sure he's wishing the Lion was still here so he could lock one in spot and get the kill, but that's not going to be the case. The Zofia just flounders up top, trying to find anyone, and not a single member of Immortals are giving themselves away, at least not yet. As INTZ find themselves with 40 seconds left. Losing that line has really slowed down their approach, and they were lost on time, in particular last round too. VNX gets one onto PX, but it's a flurry of kills from both sides, and INTZ are going to walk away the losers from that. It's a 1v2. VNX having to clutch this up if he wants to save this match at all. His position is known, as we can see those pings coming out. He's going to lose the gunfight with Bullet, and that's going to be Immortals walking away with a full 3 points with a dominant 7-1 scoreline on Coastline. And they're still in the running for playoffs. We are going to have a 4-way race for the playoffs tomorrow. We could end the day, not tomorrow, next round, and we could end the day with a 4-way tie at 17 points. Immortals not wanting to give up on that playoff race just yet. One more match, and they can try and fight their way in. But it all depends on how Nip and Black Dragons breaks down next week. Both these teams are going to be looking at those matches with bated breaths, as those matches will determine if they can even make it in, if they even have a fighting chance. As INTZ has lost the opportunity to have control of their own destiny by tying up the 17 points, they have to rely on Nip or Black Dragons not getting a single point tomorrow. Or next week. I keep saying tomorrow. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed my casting. It has been a while. I know I was really rusty. There was a lot of that I was sluggish on, but I hope you were able to bear with me. Sorry I missed the previous 2 playdays. But regardless, hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I appreciate any and all feedback you guys may have for me, either here on Twitch, or you can catch me on Reddit, or you can go to YouTube and leave a comment there. These VODs will get uploaded probably tomorrow morning. And yeah, until then, hope you guys enjoyed.